Hello and welcome to episode 367 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, the place where the small press makes one hell of a big noise. I'm Vince Hunt, and joining me as always is the creator of the webcomic Vanguard, Dan Butcher.
Hello.
And the man who accidentally opened a parcel that was meant for Dame Judi Dench is Tony Esmond.
Boney Desmond.
and a name that was just come up with just a few moments ago, and no doubt it could be the sort of character name that's
we had a listener question, didn't we, from Boney Desmond, which we might repeat later.
Yes. And Boney Desmond sounds like someone that you'd see in the pages of comics such as Mukbang, Bastard Galaxia and Future Egg. Who are all created by our wonderful guest, including the left-handed horror series, which I'm a massive fan of. Welcome back to the show, Matt Simmons.
Hey, one of our favourites.
Hello.
Your Masters of the Universe comic was one of the better things I saw at Thought Bubble.
The Cat's Bumhole special was better than the movie.
That's high praise, because Cats is genius.
Hold on. Hopefully the listeners are still listening after such a statement.
I've got to put a disclaimer down that that's not true.
I did notice after you did that comic, Ricky Gervais did a gag in one of his shows, didn't he, about it? Clearly riding your popularity, Matt.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, actually. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Well,
about Dench licking her own bumhole or something, wasn't it?
Naked plagiarism.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you need to get your people onto Ricky Gervais's people, Matt. Get that sorted straight away.
He's looking to get sued, yeah.
Matt is here for some awesome comics talk, as well as a bit more info about a great indie comics event that you should check out. We'll get into all that good stuff soon enough. And the way we were talking just before the show started, there could be some quite juicy topics. I don't know why I said it like that. Juicy topics this week. And Matt has recently got a puppy, so he may be mauled to death before the end of the show. So,
what kind of puppy is it, Matt?
It's a Cavapuchon.
Don't make up words. Don't make up words.
When they told me what it was, I'm just like, I'm not saying that. But,
unfortunately, so many people communicated to the host of this podcast, but yeah, so we asked anyway. But yeah.
So many people have asked. It's committed to memory now. I thought I'll never remember that, but everyone asks. So yeah, there you
go.
Most importantly, what's the name of said puppy?
Lola.
Oh, cool.
I was completely outvoted. I'm not comfortable around dogs. I've never wanted a pet. I've never had a pet, but everyone else in the house disagreed, and there you go. We've got a pet now.
Now
my
Lola
heart
runs the
goes out
place.
to you, because that's pretty much how my life runs.
Yeah.
Oh mate, my dog Sharknado, he literally throws me out of bed if he doesn't want me there. He's just a nightmare. Yeah, just bites me in the middle of the night.
Because we had a dog for several years, and I've never had a dog. I know nothing about dogs, and it was an absolute fucking crash course.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
I felt like playing the Benny Hill music. I was chasing around like this on a Sunday morning. It was like a five-a-side football team having a barbecue, sort of sausage and egg, like everywhere, and he's just fucking going nuts, and I'm shouting "Ray!" I'm running around.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's crazy. My life's so disrupted now. The other day I managed to watch The Batman before doing the school run. Like, that's how messed up my sleeping pattern is.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, we're all pretty messed up this week, because as we're talking in the UK, as we're recording, it's the beginning of a heat wave.
Yeah.
So
it's not even the worst day yet, is it?
We're all hot bothered.
My balls are really hot.
Yeah.
Why did you agree with him, Dan? Are you there?
Well, we had a brief discussion about ball temperature before the show started rolling. And I think we agreed that we're over optimum temperature from the
ball. They don't stop. They stop working, and they're going to get too hot.
Maybe you should rest them in a bowl of water as we record.
If you hear a minor splash, that'll be skydiving
in.
Well, they say Wi-Fi signals interrupt all that, don't they?
What, your balls?
Well, yeah. Well, I checked in front of the laptop earlier. They seem to be fine. That's not my joke. That's a Frankie Boyle joke.
Oh, God. Do you know where you will find a place where jokes won't be plagiarised, though?
I doubt it's Comic House.
Yeah.
yeah. It's got some of our work on it, and We don't have an original thought between us. But the Comic House are our lovely sponsor. They're in the indie comic marketplace with a difference because they love indie comics as much as we do.
Yeah.
So there you go. So there's a reason for checking them out, but there's even more reasons. There's a huge selection of titles on their database. If you self-publish yourself, then you can add a profile on there, start listing your books on there, both in physical to help them, just another avenue to get them out in the world, as well as digital. Because the Comic House app is definitely one you need to check out. It's like a subscription service. It's like Netflix for comics. Only £3 a month, and you get access to an enormous library of digital indie comics that's being added to all the time. Past guests, present guests, future guests, all kinds of guests. And what sort of stuff is on there at the moment, Dan?
We've got the History of Comics 1977, the Monster Cleanup Guy issue 1, Tom Long's Post by Kev Cooling, DUI, Drawn Under Influence Volume 1. I saw a lot of DUI 2. I don't think it's going under that title though, is it? It's not issue 2.
I think it is.
DUI. Oh, okay, maybe it is.
Yeah, I think so.
I saw lots of stuff in that, and that's fucking great. And we've got Space Crash 4 by Dave Hingley. Tony was bothering me about reading the story synopsis. Here we go.
Oh yeah, please do.
Earth is enslaved. Our heroes return to Earth to find it conquered by the Tachnids. If only they hadn't stopped at that space station. What they need now is a plan. Luckily, the engineer has a plan. An audacious plan that requires the help of the entire crew and the breaking of the laws of
plan
physics.
again.
Plan. Yes.
Good.
Plan. That's the plan. And we've got 40 pages in black and white by Dave Hingley, written by Dave Hingley. And you can go check that out.
That's on the fourth issue
Comic
already,
House.
is it? That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Check that out,
That's
as well as all the other comics that are available on there. If you want to find out more about the app and start your 14-day free trial, then go to comichouse.com. And thank you to them for supporting the show, as always.
Yes. Thanks, Pete.
Yes. Now, we briefly mentioned there that, Dan, where on earth did you see a preview for DUI 2?
I was at the Qvention.
Qvention.
Yeah.
That's a segue to talk about it, so go on.
Oh, well done.
Good one.
Go on, Dan, you start.
Well, we rocked up. Well, I rocked up not late, but I don't know how long you guys have been there. But essentially, I walked into the pub in East London, and you'd kind of taken over this huge table in the beer garden, and it was full of like the paper, people drawing on, laughter, banter. It was an absolute great laugh.
A good laugh was had by all. So for those that don't know, because I've been sort of hinting at just putting the word Qvention on Twitter and things from our account, and I'm sure people think it's something to do with Q, the QAnon. It was not, although you're free to think that. It was just because Cliff Cucumber, or as we like to call him, Dan? Keith. Yeah, Keith was over from America with his daughter Alex, and we all got together on the Saturday. And he said, "I'd be lovely to meet everyone." So we all sort of headed on. I've got a list of names: Zach, Dave, Eamon, Alex was there, Simon, Gareth, Sarah, Dan. Anyone else you can think of, Dan? Who I missed out there?
I think that's it.
I think that might be it.
Yes.
Sounds
Falpy. Yeah.
Oh, Falpy, of course it was. Yeah, of course Falpy was there. Yeah. So it was a good little mix up of people. Started off, Sarah took Alex and Keith on like a street art tour, and then we went to the pub, and then we ended up going for a curry in Brick Lane. But they just put chairs and tables out in the middle of the street. It was a bit weird.
Okay.
But we had a curry there, and then went on a tour for fly posted posters, and then I got home quite late. It was like a long day. You can tell in my voice I've got quite a tired voice from just laughing all day. It's sort of one of those sort of things.
It's a very sexy voice, Tony.
Thank you, mate. We didn't discuss scissoring, so that was good.
That's always good.
But Simon brought along some paper and pens, so everyone sort of drew on that. So if you have a look at our socials,
that's a fantastic idea. Really,
you'll be able to see quite a lot of probably one day very valuable artwork.
Yeah. I drew an incident from your life, Tony.
You did. The incident where I had to say, I think you had an accident. That incident. Yeah, quite a famous incident.
And it was formed from me illustrating that kind of ... in a speech bubble, and then going into another word to illustrate a pause. Yeah,
nicely done. Yeah. Which you just did. It was quite successfully done. Yeah, nice work, guys. Yeah, so thanks to everyone who come along. We'll probably do it again, actually. It may not be called Qvention, but it was a nice little gathering of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people we know from the drink and draws and stuff like that. And comics were swapped, and a lot of beer was drunk. Yeah, it was a good day. Yeah, it was a nice one.
I think one if we did that in future and you just brought along comics you wanted to trade, sell.
Yeah,
just
we would do that, couldn't we?
The swap, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's to start something.
Rather
Danny
than
B?
something more formal. Yeah, I'd be well up for doing something like that.
Danny B's
Danny B
comics.
got a little
swap.
cheer. Yeah, he got a little cheer when he arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
How did you feel about that, Dan? Did it feel natural or did you feel uncomfortable?
No, I'm pretty much used to that kind of thing, to be honest.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
He's like the norm of the ACP. Every time Norm walks into the cheers bar,
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
No, of course, it's love it, love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, excellent.
He
Good.
loves-
So
he
next
loves-
time
he loves
we
being a
didn't
dog.
give much of a lead in for it. So next time we'll put it a bit more on the socials, but we want to keep it a little bit low key. But those who sort of regularly listen and stuff, shout out to John Otway, couldn't make it in the end. It's a shame.
I'm
Hopefully
sure.
we'll get to the next one.
I mean, I probably think that somewhere in the future there's an ACP Comic Mart meetup at some point that's going to happen.
Definitely.
That'd be brilliant.
If we can, because I want to get back to one of them in the future at some point. So, so look out for the London Comic Mart and see some. Just do a little bit of research, and
That's a nice.
I don't think there's one till August now, is there? I think.
Yeah, August might be a bit hectic. What with the bank? Because is it usually around the bank holiday, or is it the start of the month?
I'm not sure actually. Can't remember.
Yeah.
No.
But it's only 2 or 3 weeks away.
Oh, that's true. Where's the year gone?
God. Yeah. Where's the year gone? But it feels like events are happening all over the place, and certainly there was London Film and Comic Con, which I haven't really heard hide nor hair of over the past couple of years. I know, yes, I know there was.
It comes and goes a bit, doesn't it?
There was a pandemic, but it's certainly one that people do table quite a lot at, but it's not necessarily the one that's mentioned that much, is it? Really, it's just sort of people kind of go, and they sort of,
it's a Showmasters event, isn't it?
Yeah, they will post that they've done quite well or something like that. But it was a bit. Well, you read something about it this week, didn't you?
Yeah, well, when I was kind of part of some of the comic creator groups on Facebook, they were sort of, a lot of the creators weren't very happy that the position. I think they got stuck upstairs somewhere and was complaining that the footfall was really awful. And it sort of mind travels back to London Super Comic Con 2017.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it was that long ago.
Where we were kind of put upstairs and there was very little signage and we got very little footfall. And you think, oh god, it's only small press creators moaning about that. That was like when we had Dan Slott there and Bart Sears and they had some big names there, but
Mike Norton.
People just didn't know they were up there, so they didn't go up there.
That was a weird one, wasn't it? That was a sort of
Very
strange one. Yeah, I mean, far be it from comic creators to moan about lack of sales, it being down to someone else, but it did sound like they were all sort of stuck somewhere that people weren't going up to. I think is the moan we've heard,
I think Zach was saying something similar, wasn't he? He was, because he had been there on the Saturday, and was relaying similar info.
Yeah, of course, he turned up after it, didn't he? He'd been to it, didn't he, that morning? Yeah.
And he was saying how they kind of got a bit of a short shrift. But
yeah. There's also South London Comic and Zine Fair today, which I've heard nothing but good things about today.
And Stanley Halls.
I couldn't. I had 3 days of events. If I'd gone to that, I just couldn't do it. So I will go next year. I've always been to sort of previous type stuff down there, but it looked really good. So I was watching some of the Instagram videos today, and they looked quite busy. Everyone looked like they're having a laugh. Yeah,
that
good stuff.
Sticks out of my mind because I was saying how like in this country we don't have it too bad, and then 2 days later I was posting on Facebook how in South Norwood, just down the road from that event, this kid had got a butcher knife out and was going after
yeah,
him.
that's right. Yeah,
so fucking hell.
What?
Didn't you see that video of like?
That was just a matter of like 100 meters from where it was held, wasn't it? But I mean, that's South London for you. That's the thing.
That's a standard Saturday.
Yeah,
a standard weekday.
Yeah, you used to have to go down the Old Kent Road, get in a fight, have a kebab, get in a fight, and get arrested. But if you got that in the wrong order, that used to really give you the hump.
I mean, it used to be like just giving someone an absolute kicking, but now like it's knives involved. It's just absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, the world's gone mad. You can't give someone a kicking anymore. What's wrong?
My God. One thing that doesn't change about the world though is the fact that it's that whole no signage towards a certain part of the comics event.
Yeah,
it's
a bad thing.
It's not a one-time deal.
I mean, I can't imagine London Film and Comic Con is a massive one for the small press scene. It's not really designed for that, is it? To be fair, it is mostly cosplayers and someone who was once in Star Wars, as I understand it. Is that right? Have you ever been to it, Matt?
No, I haven't actually. No, I've not really ventured much outside my comfort zone of Thought Bubble and the lakes. Like beyond that, I don't drive, so I find it really hard to travel anywhere.
Yeah, I get you.
So no, I've not been too far afield.
Doesn't sound like you're missing much.
Me off.
Oh god, the heat as well would have. Yeah, the heat in London, bloody hell.
Just imagine kiting around a fucking load of boxes today with comics.
Oh god. But if you were, then we hope for God's sake you're all right.
You're a trooper.
No matter what you're doing. I know there were some certain little events. I think Forbidden Planet had like a 2000 AD meetup. I saw Eamon post about that.
Yeah, he went to that. Yeah.
Was there a signing in Forbidden Planet on the Saturday?
There was signing in Gosh as well, wasn't there?
Gosh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All going on.
Yeah.
Everything's back, guys.
Yeah. But you should still be safe out there because things are still happening.
Yeah, look at me. I only just tested negative, didn't I?
Yeah.
Only last week. Yeah.
So, even if you take it lightly, it could fuck up your plans majorly.
I was on the underground train thinking, fuck me, I've pushed the fucking chances here.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that strip club we went to, Dan couldn't help. To be honest with you,
that was the least of the worries. What are you going to get from there?
Yeah, it's true.
Disease-wise.
Oh my god. Disease-wise.
Disease.
Jesus. But yes, events are back on, and they're starting to appear more, including some of the smaller events in sort of localized places. Definitely, if you're in the area, people should check out, including one that our lovely guest is involved with.
Running. Yes,
this is a Coco Comic Con, which we mentioned last week. Tony gave it a shout out.
Yeah. And
certainly when I heard about it, I saw a lovely poster that you made, Matt, for it, and I immediately messaged him going, look mate, now you've done this, you've got to come on and talk to us. Sorry mate, but you've got to do this now. So essentially we forced him into this. But yeah,
on the promo tour.
Yeah, the promo tour. Yeah. This is, I think this is a small press day event, isn't it? I think so. I mean, Matt, take it away. Tell us what this event's all about.
Yeah, we did put it on for small press day. It came about in a bit of an odd way, really, because basically I didn't get a table at any of the cons that I applied to this year. Which, well,
more fool them, mate. More fool them.
well, yeah. I didn't take it too personally. To be honest, I was surprised. Just every other year when I did actually get a table, I feel like I've been really lucky to have always got tables and stuff. But it just so happened that this year I didn't get a place at either con. But I've been quite unwell this year.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry to hear that, mate. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, cheers. It's been a tough one, and lots of doctor's appointments and stuff, and we sort of like whittled it down, and it was basically all down to stress.
Okay.
So by the time I hadn't got a table at these cons, I was like, well, it's probably a blessing in disguise, really, because you go into a con,
do without
it,
mate.
An automatic deadline to do a lot of stuff.
There's quite a lot of stress, isn't there? There is, self-imposed stress a lot of the time in terms of like setting up these Comic Cons. But yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, stress problems. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll put on my own Comic Con. But no, it wasn't really my idea. And see, I work in a restaurant, Pizza Margherita, which is where the event is mostly being held. Upstairs at Pizza Margherita in the function rooms. Don't worry, we're going to put a lot of signs up. We're upstairs at Pizza Margherita, which is directly across the road from the local comic shop, First Age Comics. And we're really good friends with the people who run it, Mark and Lucy. So it wasn't actually my idea to do it. It was my manager's idea, the boss at Pizza Margherita.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I know. Like there's not. I don't think there's many places where your boss would be quite so encouraging. But the manager Anna has always been really encouraging of my comic stuff over the years. So I went to her and I said, I'm not going to need these weekends off. I'll probably just go down for one day. I don't need all this time off I would usually take for the last few years. And I told her I didn't get any tables and stuff. And she said, well, I've been telling you for all this time, you should do something upstairs with the function rooms because we never use them. she's like, I'm always telling you should put on some kind of comics event. And I was
cool.
like, yeah, it would be really cool. And I was like, because we've got the comic shop right across the road, and we've got next to that, we've got like the local independent cinema. If we could get them involved, it would be really cool. We got the 2 rooms, we could have this in this room, this in that room. And the more I just talked about it, the more I just thought, I'd be a dickhead not to do this, actually. Do you know what I mean? Like, the more I just talked about it, I was like, well, yeah, I've got this opportunity. And someone who's supporting me and believing in me that, we can do something. I'm just like, well, yeah, I should give it a go. So that's where it started. And the way it got to be Coco Comic Con is there's some lads who I'd met in previous years at the Lakes and at Thought Bubble, who like over lockdown had sort of put together their own indie publishing house, Coco Comics.
I wonder about
Coco
that. Yeah.
Comics anthology. Yeah. So the last time I saw them, I picked up their anthology, and I ended up really enjoying it. They're really nice guys, so I bought the anthology because they'd always come and said hi. They've always been really good to me. In person, I can get a bit awkward, especially like the more people that are involved. So like I think one year at the mid-con party at Thought Bubble, I was like hanging out on my own, just feeling really nervous, and I guess they sort of like noticed that I was like a bit of a loose end, and they came over and talked to me and let me hang out with them and stuff. So we got chatting and stuff. They were just all super friendly lads. So I picked up their anthology, like, oh yeah, good on you, lad. But I read it and I really, really enjoyed it. I'm an anthology enjoyer. Like some people say anthologies, aren't really their cup of tea sort of thing. But I really think they're great. They're great.
I think historically anthologies have always been the sort of lifeblood of the small press ananyway, I think.
Yeah. That's what I think. I think if you're into small press, you can't go wrong with an anthology because you get. You've got to take the rough with the smooth. Yeah, of course. But that's small press for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of everything, really. And it can expand your horizons a bit, like and stuff like that. But I genuinely like really enjoyed all the stuff that was going on in the anthology, and I was like really impressed with it. So they
must get a copy of this. Yeah, are they based up near you? Are they then, Matt? Or
they're all graduates of Teesside University, so
right.
Yeah, sort of like that sort of way, really.
Okay.
Not too far, but not super close.
Yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, like.
But yeah, so it turns out, I think Lancaster's got a bit of a history of comic conventions. I used to go up there. God, probably 10 years ago, I started going because John Freeman used to run a little event in. I'm going to say it was in the library, I think, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Lancaster Comics Day in the library.
That's right. Yeah, and I actually went for dinner with the dude from the comic shop because I think John was friends with him.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and also they talked about doing. They did something with the cinema then as well. I think, is that right? They had a screening or something.
Yeah, possibly. They have done like comic screenings. I don't remember exactly what's going on, but I know they sort of like done
Kick-Ass or something. I think it was. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But like, I remember Lancaster Comics Day, and that's one of the reasons I didn't want to do like a Lancaster Comic Con or anything like that. Sort of getting too close to Lancaster Comics Day or anything like that, because I always hope it's coming back every year.
Yeah, me too.
It ended just. The last one was just before I started making comics, but I went to them and it was really great for me. That's where I met a lot of people. Tom Ward.
Yeah, he used to do it, didn't he? That rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I first met Tom Ward, and I got chatting to him, and the first time I met him, and I was saying like, oh, are you the writer and stuff? He's like, oh yeah. And I was like, and I was kind of like in the middle of writing my first comic, and I asked him for some writing advice. And literally, like the advice he gave me, like really helped, and enabled me to finish my first comic. It was just about sort of like getting all your ideas together and sitting down with him and organizing in a way that's going to sort of like lead you to, like taking a bit of time to just like go back and maybe rearrange get all your ideas together in a way that's going to arrange them into something. And I did that. And like one morning of doing that, and I started to get somewhere, sort of thing. But like, nice. I first met him and I was saying, oh, I'm thinking of making my own comic. And I think he was like, oh, okay, sure. Because you get that all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
And then when I saw him at the second one, he's like, oh, have you made that comic yet? I'm like, no, I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. He's like, yeah, sure you are. So I think he was like kind of surprised when I actually went ahead and did it. But yeah, that was at Lancaster Comics Day. And every time I met Tom Ward after that, I was always like, thank you so much again. And after a while, I was like, yeah, stop thanking me now. but yeah, Lancaster Comics Day, you know, as I met Tom Ward, got that advice that helped me sort of finish comics. I met people who were really into small press and stuff, and sort of expanded my horizons on, like, you know, what comics could be. And I think I don't know if you remember his name, but Harry Dean Wilmot is a guy who lives around.
Yeah, he's just joined the Slack actually this week.
Yeah. He made that comic Subscribe.
Yeah, I love that comic. Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it? He lives super close to me, and I was kind of acquainted with him because I worked with his sister a lot of years ago. He's a lot younger than me, but I sort of knew him through there. But that's where, like, we sort of like we started talking about comics, and he's like one of my best friends now.
Oh, cool.
Him and his wife coming over for dinner all the time, you know, like they're family friends, you know, and that's where I feel like, you know, our friendship was really galvanized, you know. So just like that environment, to have that environment so close to home, it was just amazing, and it really did so much for me, you know. So yeah, I kind of wanted to bring a bit of that back to Lancaster, really.
Almost sorry, like, you mean like the healing power of comics almost there? Is that what you're saying, Matt? So I think it actually improves your mood, and, you know, if you were a bit stressed, it's something that would assist you, you know.
Yeah, you know, like I would say, like I think I've talked about it before, but like in my 20s, I suffered really badly with depression. It's like you know. My friend Steve Gregson would probably say, you know, it's the most Matt Simmons thing you could possibly do to sort of like battle your way out of depression in your 20s, only to stress yourself to death in your 30s. but yeah,
that's the comics way.
Yeah, I was really depressed about a lot of my 20s, but I refused to sort of acknowledge it, sort of thing.
Right.
And I was just like, no, I'm doing fine. But things just kept piling on top of me, and I didn't even realize, like, it wasn't normal to feel like that, you know. But when I sort of started getting better and sort of like reaching out for help and stuff like that, there was people who sort of like picked up, like, the comics thing's really. I talked a lot about wanting to make a comic, and they said, I think the comic thing's really important. You should really focus on that. And it really did help me out so much. And like I say, I'm a very nervous person. And especially in like big events and stuff, and like socially. But like before I made comics, like I couldn't go and order a drink in a bar or phone someone up.
Oh really? Okay.
And, you know, it's through like it is literally through making comics, meeting people who like to talk about indie comics that's encouraged me enough to the point where I can go out and talk to people and make friends, and
there is
it really did all build up from that.
There is a real social therapy in some ways to a lot of
comics has therapy.
A lot of like never mind the comics themselves, but the comics community can be a very, especially as we've experienced with this show, like a very accepting community. You know, everyone's in it together, and like everyone's.
It's almost
open.
Like a safe space. We've talked about this previously for people with different kind of things in their lives. You know, going to not necessarily an MCM, but going almost to somewhere like Thought Bubble or something like that. You're not feeling like people are judging you as you would at maybe another event, are you?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, you kind of know you're around sort of friends and like-minded people. I think. It's,
Do you think the start point for that, though, Matt, is allowing yourself the freedom of expression within a comic? Do you think? I have to say, Matt, I didn't know this about you, and I think the first time we met was at the Lakes when I bought Bastard Galaxia from you. I think you might have given it to me actually very kindly, but I didn't know that, but I'm guessing, you know, the humour and, you know, stuff like that in your comics allows you to, it's almost like an extension of your personality. It allows you to sort of almost like reveal yourself to people a bit, maybe. I don't know. Is that?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird. I mean, I don't want to get sort of too dark with it, but like I was going through a really difficult time, and I just had kids and stuff, and I was when I look back, I just think at the time I didn't acknowledge how depressed I was, but I was like, I was really, really super depressed. And I remember, like, I look back and I was just like, I wasn't planning to be around for too much longer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
man. Well, you know,
it was really, it's really weird to look back. It's almost like it was sort of happening to someone else.
I was going to say, you're sufficiently the other side of it that you can look back.
Yeah, my mind is just so different now. I can't, like, when you're depressed, you can't imagine what it would feel like to be like happy and content. But but now I'm on the other side of it. I look back and I can't imagine how it would feel to feel so crushingly down. It's like it happened to a different person. It's kind of it's a very weird.
Do you find that you look back on some of the artwork and stuff from back then, and it reminds you of a period, or can you get beyond it now, do you think?
Oh, I do. There is definitely like panels that I look at and I can remember some really dark thoughts going through my mind writing those panels, but they're not dark panels. I don't really write dark stuff. It is like a lot of humor stuff.
For my money, Matt, you write some of the funniest comics I read, without a doubt. Your humour's on my wavelength, and
we hear this all the time. When people are in a bad place, one of the best things you can do is throw yourself into something. It's almost like a distraction technique that allows you to sort of heal. Otherwise.
I mean, I remember like I made Future Egg. Was the first comic that I made, the first Future Egg. I started making that before I started making Galaxia, but we finished Galaxia before I finished Future Egg. But when I started making Future Egg, that was the first thing I was doing. I was really depressed, like I say, but I remember thinking, like, I just wanted to, like I say, I didn't know, like, what the future held for me, really, and I don't think I had very bright thoughts for it, but I just wanted to make a comic that I would enjoy reading and that was upbeat. And I remember thinking, if the kids, like, look back on these comics and go, oh, this was my dad, I wanted it to be like a happy, easygoing comic almost. It's kind of like really
the completion of a page, or even like the completion of a script or something, there is a dopamine effect of that, isn't it? It does lift you when you think, I've done this now.
Yeah, I feel that very much these days. But I remember when I would work on Bastard Galaxia, I worked on that with Steve. Like, Steve sort of like helped me through so much. It was just good to have a talk.
He's the dude who's at your table at the lakes. That dude I met.
That's Steve Gregson. He is the co-creator of Bastard Galaxia, and we would sort of work on it. It was like less like writer artist specifically. We would kind of like co-write it, and then I would like draw like layouts and do designs and stuff, and then Steve would just like work his magic. And
I remember you'd explain this to me. Very collaborative, isn't it?
Yeah. So like sometimes like it would go that he would come and pick me up. We'd go to his house to write, and he'd pick me up. How you doing? And I'd just be like really, really bad, and I would sort of like tell him how I was feeling and stuff, and he'd sort of like give me a bit of advice. And then we'd sort of start. That would just turn into sort of like regular friends chatting, and the sort of things me and Steve chat about will bleed right into all the shit that we put into Galaxia, sort of thing. So the chatting shit would turn into writing Galaxia and stuff, and blah blah blah. And there was times like when I was like really depressed. If I was by myself, I would never have written those pages, and I would have just gone to bed. But Steve would always be there, like, sometimes I'll be like, I'm feeling really done, and he'd be like, I'll put the kettle on and we'll work on the next chapter. And I'd be like, oh bloody hell! But then I'm like, no, it's great. It kept me going. Do you know what I mean? It was like always there to keep me going, sort of thing. And I remember, after Galaxia was released, like soon after, I'd started to get sort of like help. A lot of stuff in my life sort of like changed, and I really started to sort of like claw my way out of the pit, sort of thing. And I remember like it kind of like almost like looking back, all these things that we'd achieved, the comic and successful Kickstarter and things like that, they can kind of just bouncing off me, because when you're depressed, you don't really sort of like necessarily feel good feelings like you would. And so I'd see that I'd be like, Steve, I was like, we've made a comic and people like it. It's really good. It's like, yeah, I know. I know. And I'm like, yeah, but can you believe it? It's like, yeah, we did it. And I know, but I guess I'm just realizing it the first time now. I'm so impressed with the Steve. It's like, yeah, I know you've said about 50 times now.
It's now the point where they go, right, where's the next one? You're like, oh no.
Oh God, yeah, we get that all the time. But but yeah, well, Steve's going to be at Coco Comic Con. So any people who want to come and ask me where the next Galaxia is, you can go and ask Steve for it.
Oh, you've thrown him under the bus there. You've completely thrown.
I'm going to email him now.
I keep a tally. I'm like, Steve, all people do are ask me where the next Galaxia is.
Well, I mean, the thing is, he's busy at the moment, because I saw on the website he's working on Beatdowns per minute, isn't he?
Beatdowns per minute and Ninja Baseball Spirits, both with
yes.
Dave Cook from Killtopia. They're absolutely kicking ass. Yeah, they're doing all sorts. They're really,
Steve's a great artist.
Really going for it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The speed, reliable, and he does it all. You know, like Steve can, you know, he can just straight up do it all. You know, he's like, you know, get a page off Steve. It's he can ink it, he can do the layout, he can do the lettering, he can do the colouring. You know, so
not only that, he's the most important thing of all. He's just a good friend. Which you know,
oh, absolutely, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
We all need them.
So yeah, it's like. So yeah,
I mean, this is what I want to hear from. Not necessarily that you've been in a terrible place, man, but I want to hear that small press it has a healing effect. I'm tired now of people talking about the money I made or the film deals or anything like that. This is what small press should be. This is what art should be about. To be fair, because it has the ability to help people. You know,
sort of. I know we've kind of like we've had a pop at self autobio comics, but kind of like for some people that can be a kind of a release. Do you know what I mean?
It can be a healing, can't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
but it's interesting you didn't go that way, Matt. That's why I was about to ask, because you've thrown yourself into a sort of, you know, an archaic space opera, you know, really, haven't you?
I don't think I could. I don't think I could. I don't think I could physically bring myself to draw myself for starters. And plus, you know, like the reality of these situations. Autobio is a weird one.
You've got to really go there. I think you've really got to dig deep and find something to make it a valuable auto-bio to me, or a good one. And I think sometimes that's a difficult thing to do, man. You know, you see a lot of people faking it, you know, while they're making it, but you know, I think actually doing it is a difficult space.
I think it was Noah Van Skyver was talking about some of his autobio, and he was talking about like people involved were like really angry that he'd written about them and things like that.
Oh,
wow.
And I
that's another big side of it, isn't it? Yeah.
I read the book that he was talking about, and I looked at it and I just thought, man, there's some people who get thrown under the bus way harder than this if I wrote anything. I probably shouldn't bother. I mean, and I don't want to do that as well. I don't want to bring that. It's not for me. Really.
Yeah, I mean, creators should do the work that they feel impassioned to do, and like you say, you had a statement of intent. You wanted to. There were a couple of things you wanted to do. You wanted to make the comics that you wanted to make, the comics that you'd like to read. There was also the added layer of like comics that your kids could look back on and go, "God, Dad was a funny fucker, wasn't he?" He was. But also, because the nature of like, and we've said it, your humour and everything. Yours is one of your work is one of the ones that, and I had this experience at Thought Bubble when I was at your table. Matt was one of the ones at Thought Bubble last year that I kept popping over to talk to, to have a chat with him.
You brought some over, didn't you, Vince?
Yeah,
like, oh, man, these are great.
But it was another one of those wonderful moments of, I think, was it Cat's the Butthole Cut? It's wonderful saying that title every time. But I was talking to you about the left-handed horror stuff, and this girl came over and go, "Oh my god, I've told my friend about this, and I need to get another copy of them." And I think you only had like one or two left or something like that. And it was yours is. It was a massive example of how your work is one of those ones that when people see it, they're going to recommend it to their mates or get a copy for their friend. It's like, you have to read this. This is hilarious. But it worked beyond the, oh, you like Superman. Here's a comic you like. There's a crossover to your humour as well. There's a real crossover sort of that goes beyond comics, I think, because like the comics you make, these little A5 ones as well as the bigger comics and everything else. Sometimes it's just a one, not a one joke sketch, but as Dan was saying, the one about is the Rock comic.
What's the name of the character?
You know what? I can't remember. In the book, I just call him that Master of the Universe Rock guy because I can't remember the character's name even. And
you very kindly sent very kindly sent, because I wanted it, because I think Dan, you came back with one, didn't you? Or was it Tom? Tom Curry might have. I think Tom Curry had it. Yeah. And I went over to your table and you very kindly sent me a colour copy, which is a prized possession now in this house. And every time I read it, I laugh. Because your mind is the same as mine, you dirty bastard.
Yeah, I don't think I'm. I love making zines, but the problem is I'm too much of a collector, and I hate the idea of people like missing out on stuff. So like, when it was like, oh, I missed out on that comic, I'll reprint it for you. I'll reprint it. I'm just like, so I'm always trying to keep stuff in print. So yeah, I don't want anyone missing out.
That can be like an advantage to a zine maker, or like those people who do the low print runs on photocopiers and all their own printers and stuff. Because if it is, I missed out on this copy, you do have the option of like taking their details, going home, printing one off, and sending it to them. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot to be said about that. It's not like if some of us who have like you get the full coloured, professionally printed books. When you've sold out, you need to save up a fair bit of pocket money before you can get another copy. The truly small press, the staple and paper.
I wonder I mean, guys, do you see that? I heard it on another podcast, one we're probably going to mention in a minute today. But what's the difference between a zine and a comic then? How do you guys, Matt? How would you see them? Do you see them as separate or?
Kind of, I guess. Like, if I could make something the same, but I would, if it was a comic, I would call it a mini comic, and if it was a zine, I would call it a zine. So, obviously, mini comic, I would say is like panels and narrative,
right?
Letters telling a story in some way. But like a zine, I would say is like something that's maybe like about a subject. So the left-handed horror zine is like talking about horror and stuff like that, and then or just you could just do like an art zine, which is just pictures, not necessarily a narrative, anything like that.
So like a mixture of media.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think a zine can also, probably just make it more complicated, I would say a zine can have a comic in it, a comic element to it, while still being a zine. Yeah,
because zine, if you break it down to its basics, it's just a shortened version of the word magazine.
Yeah.
Or I always took it to be a shortened version of the word fanzine.
Yeah, good shout.
That's what I thought it to be.
Like it can comprise of anything like art, poetry, writing.
It's kind of been repositioned, isn't it? Because fanzine used to be, Legion Outpost, which are their articles on the Legion of Superheroes or something, or punk fanzine or punk zines. Were just like,
but they were very much like, it's called a fanzine because it's a branch of a magazine, isn't it? Like if people who didn't work for a publisher, they write articles, they do reviews and everything, and it turns out to be this.
I almost think it's geographically different opinions about it, and different hobbies have different opinions about it. At one point, it almost repositions itself in that same argument that we saw 20 years ago about this isn't a comic, it's a graphic novel. It's almost like we had a little bit of a period, didn't we, where we had the sort of snootier side of comics saying this isn't a comic, it's the
zine. Definitely splitting hairs, that mean. I mean, like if someone said I've got a comic here, and then you picked it up and it had like 2 pages of sequential art and the rest of it was like musings and whatever, I'm like, well, this is a zine, mate, it's not a comic.
I think I agree with you, man. The argument I heard on this podcast, it was the Gutter Boys podcast I listened to it this morning, is the fact they said it's in the production values, and I don't know whether that's right.
I don't think that's right.
If it's something you printed out at home and photocopied and then used a stapler to create, they said that's a zine. But I think the content has got to be more important.
I think production values is the difference between probably independent and small press.
Yeah, like almost like DIY comics.
DIY comics. I mean, because we sort of blanket call things small press, but if you in my head, it is those sort of like short run, staples, black and white art. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That to me is more small press.
It doesn't hold water, that thing, because like you can create a comic on a one side of A4 paper, like graph paper, or make a really polished one and get it printed and whatever, and they're still comics.
Yeah.
Regardless of the production.
I think it's got to be the content, isn't it? To me, if it's a comic in the content, it's a fucking comic. They need to calm down. But if it's like you say, Dan, it's like a couple of pin-ups, an article on the Pixies, like a short strip that someone did, and it's all put together in one package. I think of that as it's almost like DIY-esque. It's a zine. Yeah.
I mean, there are creators. In the recommends later, I'm going to talk about a couple of comic strips. Like the old Sunday Funnies sort of thing. If you're creating them, you're creating a comic. You're creating a comic strip. But that comic strip could then just be put on a page of a zine. Do you know what I mean? It could be part of a zine, but it's still.
I think it's no problem. We've had this. Sorry, mate.
Cliff put out a zine.
Yeah.
He labelled it as such.
Yeah, and I think we've had this problem ad infinitum, haven't we? Where that is clearly a zine because it's not sequential comic art, is it? But I think people love to find another word for comic, don't they? Because they've said it at a dinner party and someone's looked at them like they're a sex offender, you know. So they decided to call it something else.
You got to reclaim the term. You know what I mean? Don't run from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it's going in the right direction. Generally.
But yeah, Matt, you make comics and zines.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, and you will have all at Coco Comic Con, not zines.
Comic Con.
Yeah. A mini con, I guess. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, right, the way it got to be Coco Comic Con was because, like I said, I met these Coco boys, and I didn't.
Is that their official name, the Coco Boys?
It is now, whether they like it or not.
We'll probably speak to you soon, boys, so be prepared.
I was obviously sort of kind of nervous about. I didn't know what to call it. I didn't want to call it Lancaster, this or that sort of thing, MacCon or anything like that. But you know, the Coco guys had set up this whole co-publishing house. I just really liked how they got this whole sort of like branding for themselves and stuff like that. And they didn't get tables either, and they'd done a thing on Instagram saying, "Oh, we didn't get any tables." You know, which is, you know, as a small publisher, you know, it's really stressed us out. Like, to let us know if anyone's got any opportunities. So I just kind of thought, like, you know, these guys obviously sort of like are really passionate about what they do. They've got like some really good ideas. Yeah, they've got this sort of branding, and they could really do with like a platform to sort of promote themselves. So that's
and it must be frustrating, like after the pandemic and stuff, when you're ready to, because we're like, oh, events are back, and because events are back, everyone's just ready to go, aren't they? And if you're ready to go and you can't, you're not being able to get tables at the places that you need to get tables, it must be frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, it's like.
But I'd rather go to Coco Comic Con than London Film and Comic Con.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
which is why like events like this are important. So you approached them, Matt, and said, "Let's collaborate on this kind of thing." Was that?
I'm using your name.
Yeah. I just actually sent them like a meme, which was a picture of Don Draper from Mad Men pitching an idea next to a blank canvas, and I just wrote Coco Comic Con on the image and just sent it to him.
That's amazing.
That was all it took. But yeah, it sort of explains the situation that we sort of like had this room and we were opposite the comic shop and stuff like that. And at that time, I kept saying about the independent cinema that I really wanted to get involved, but they've been really hard to get hold of. Talking to different people and then sort of ghosted and blah blah blah. So I still don't have anything confirmed, which is a real shame because I think it's literally all on one street. There's the restaurant with the function rooms, the comic shop directly across the road, and then adjacent to that is the independent cinema. So I just really wanted to get all three because I thought it'd make a really cool little triangle all on the same street, and it would just be great. But so far we've only got the two. But you know. We got. I feel like, you know, if I could only pick two, I feel like we've got the best two. We've got the space for all the exhibitors, and we've got the actual comic shop. You know, so but you know the cinema would be the cherry on top if we could get that.
Yeah, we can get it. Yeah. Who's tabling currently, mate? I know you've got a little list of people, haven't you?
Yeah. So obviously there's Coco Comics. There's me. I'm going to be tabling. I've got a little table for my daughter Zeke Simmons as well, who you might remember from the first DUI. She created, co-created Spider Demon.
Yeah.
So she's been making some little mini comics and things like that.
Nice.
Oh, amazing.
Good buddy. We already talked about Steve Gregson. Who's going to be there from Team Beats Comics. We've got Nick Gonzo.
Oh, nice.
Matt Greaves. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
This whole list is like it's so bizarre to be saying this. It's so crazy to think that we got all these people because there's so many people. I was like, they won't go for it, and they did. Yeah. So
I reviewed Black issue 2 a couple of weeks ago. That's a great comic. You know? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed that. Yeah. I met Matt last time at Thorpe. I talked to him online a little bit. He's just a really, really friendly guy. Really
I know he's big mates of that comic smell, isn't he? I think they did I've recently done an interview, especially.
Yeah, I listened to that as well. Yeah,
me
really
too.
Really good interview with him. We've also got Tom Ward,
Yep.
the master, my Yoda. We've got Erica Price, who's done Disorder, which I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Okay.
Oh wow. Yeah.
James Lawrence.
Oh, cool.
And Josh Hicks. So it's like a little tag team. Well,
Nice.
I don't know if it'll be like a tag team or if they're feuding. I don't know. But
Yeah, God, we've got some kind of comics beef going on that we don't aware of.
Well, Josh Hicks' character did appear in James's latest book.
That's right.
So maybe the collaboration process, maybe it's a Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty situation we got going on. Wrestling fans will know exactly what I'm talking about there. Just so you know, Tony, Shawn Michaels kicks Marty Jannetty in the face, so that might happen at this show. That's all you need to know.
That's good for publicity.
Okay.
Get you on Bleeding Cool, Matt. If you did that, get one tabler to kick the other one in the face. Immediately, there's a light goes off in the Bleeding Cool offices.
Yeah. He also put him through a window, so we don't. We don't want anyone going through a window.
No, we don't need any. You don't need glass in your pizza margarita, do you? You don't need that.
Oh, bloody hell, yeah. Don't, you're giving me work flashbacks that or constantly worrying about all the things that can go wrong with the pizza. But we've got Josh. So we got Josh Hicks. We got Josh actually because I never thought he would show up. I was like, he's too far away. He's not going to come.
He's Wales, isn't he? I think, is that right?
Yeah. And my friend Farron, he was like, you've got to invite the Glorious Wrestling Alliance guy because it's my favorite comic. He's like, I just want to meet him. I'm like, he's not going to come. He's like, I was like, all right, I'll invite him just for you, but don't get your hopes up. And Josh was like, yeah. And I'm like, and so I go up and I was like, Farron, you're not going to believe this. Your dreams come true. So yeah,
he's doing well with that book, isn't he? I know it's got a few distro deals and stuff, isn't it? You know, it's well thought of. Yeah,
it's one of those books I would class as annoyingly good.
Yeah,
like it's amazing.
Straight out the gate, it's consistent. You know, it's funny. Yeah, it's well designed. Yeah, it's a good book. That I think definitely.
Yeah. Everything is absolutely top notch. Just like shit,
he also did he did a double page spread that was like an isometric page in the graphic novel, which I still think about to this day. How well that was done.
Who's the character who's a boat of gravy? What's his name? Is that his name? I can't remember now.
Oh, is it Gravy Train, is it called?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great character.
Yeah.
Such a good book. Yeah. We've also got Fef Silvers, another lovely person who's always been really nice to me. She does Saturday Morning Tea Girl and things like that.
I haven't seen that. Okay.
Yeah. Got Holland Simpson, who's not someone I know. I think they're a friend of like James from Coco, I think. But I'm really looking forward to seeing their stuff.
Great looking work, as I can see on the Coco Comics.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice looking stuff. I had to ask how to pronounce his name, so I need to try and get it right. Connor Tierney.
Okay, cool.
Connor Tierney. I think I managed it.
Sounds right. Sounds about right to me. Yeah.
Who does Kid Eastwood? We've got Nona Gallery. They looks like they do like a lot of really cool stuff. They do an A to Z of modern monsters.
Okay,
they're not someone that I've met, but I'm looking forward to seeing their stuff.
There's a lot of guests, man. Yeah, I didn't realize there's quite so many. Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy, isn't it? It's a bit surreal when they put the page up, and I was like scrolling through. I was like, "This is mad. This is absolutely nuts." That this like little con that we're doing. It's got so many cool people, but we just really wanted to make the most of the space.
Yeah.
And we got a few local people as well. There's Austin Chambers, who is he's not he doesn't do comics. He's actually like a small press novelist. He does.
Okay.
He's a local man who does like novels, like kind of supernatural horror novels, like
I've heard of him
in Lancaster.
Yeah.
So he's like a local character who does like a lot of work in the area and stuff. And well, like I said, there's a few local people. We've got obviously First Age Comics going to have a table. My friend Max Halls is having a table who sells like imported manga and things like that.
Oh, nice. Good stuff.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she also makes like crafts, so she makes like really cool little like crocheted little teddies and stuff like that. We've got Miss Frog Jewelry, who's a jewelry maker, but has like a lot of like merch and anime stuff.
Okay.
And we're trying to find room for Lancaster Board and Sword, which is a shop that I just discovered, who who do obviously like board games and role playing games and stuff like that. But they have like role playing games again, like kind of like small press RPGs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But like I say, these sort of like local Lancaster people, like, well, bar a few, but like they're mainly people I met while promoting the event, who just blasted me in the face with enthusiasm.
Oh. With enthusiasm.
I wonder where we're going then. For a second. Back to bastard Galaxia.
I only just met them. All right, let's start with the enthusiasm. We'll see where it leads. But no, they're all just like insanely enthusiastic, and just really excited about the whole idea. As soon as I started talking to them about it and things like that, and I just kind of thought, this is the kind of thing that I want as well, like
it's what we need, though, man. It's what we real excitement.
Yeah, because I was like pretty adamant to just be like, I just sort of like want to promote small press comics, and then I thought, well, it is small press day, and there are ideas outside of small comics which are still small press, and then there's these sort of like local independent businesses and sellers and things like that, who they're kind of just like I guess they're part of Lancaster, which is also something that I just really want to sort of like help promote and things like that. Lancaster is a place where we can have a little con and stuff like that. And I just thought if you have all small press comics, you're gonna get people who think that they might be interested in small press comics. But if you have sort of a few things outside of that as well, you're going to have people
drag the normies in, can't you? Then sell them.
Yeah. You might get some teenagers who come for the manga like they like, but then they'll go, "Oh, what's this?" And they might find someone who's doing something small press that they enjoy, and vice versa as well. People who come for comics, could discover that they're really interested in a particular RPG or board game. So it's just nice to have a bit of community,
Absolutely. This is is this a free entry event?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, free entry.
And I love it. It means like, people who are going to the comic book shop that day, all of a sudden there's more comics just across the road they can go check out, and they won't be like, there's a comic event over there. Oh, I've got to pay to get in. But if they hear, they're just going to pop across the road and see some amazing indie comics.
And get a pizza.
Yeah. Get a pizza as well. To be honest, this sounds like the best day ever.
Can you maybe next year organise another venue, which is a local strip club, to be associated with?
Well, maybe it's comic stripped.
Hey! There you go. Yeah, there you go. There's my in. I can use that as a blanket excuse.
we can go in there a lot together and plan it if you want. I'm quite happy with
that. Yeah. It's a tax write-off. No, but this is a fantastic lineup of events. It's wonderful when we see on Small Press Day, for instance. There's probably going to be people sorting out things in their local shops and events happening all over. Certainly, if you're listening to this and something's happening, because this is August the 13th, isn't it, Matt? Saturday. Saturday, August the 13th. Yeah. Is this event and Small Press Day. If you're doing anything else on this event, please do get in touch with us. We'll put a shout out about it. Yeah. Because obviously it's too far for me to go to Lancaster, but if you're in the area, please go along. That's a murderer's row of amazing comic creators. And looking at the website, like us three on this show, we've discovered more people that we'll probably talk to more in the future. Just looking at that, I was thinking, this is fantastic stuff. For instance, Coco Comics, before this, didn't really know them.
Yeah, we need to get on that, don't we? I wasn't really that aware of them. Yeah.
So, I see there's cococomics.co.uk if you want more info about this event. But for these sort of like events, Matt, now that you're did you ever think you were going to have like comic event organizer on your CV?
Absolutely not.
No. It just kind of happens, doesn't it? How important do you think is because obviously Small Press Day, that they do things like they put out lists, and sometimes they have a list of all the events that are happening in your area. How important is the, dare I say the word, marketing of this event and getting the word out about a show like this from the guests and other people for you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the marketing is really super important. I mean, it is hard to get the word out about things in a way. Like you'd think it would be easier than ever. It probably is easier than ever, but also to sort of keep it in people's minds and motivate people to want to go. You really need to keep bombarding them, because there is so much that people are bombarded with all the time anyway. So you want to keep people reminded. So we're just trying to
when you organise an event, it's the biggest thing in your head, because it's taking up so much of your brain space. It seems like the biggest thing in the world, but if you look outside your bubble, no one knows about it yet until they hear about it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's all about getting that word out. Because I know I've been terrible at...
it's the short attention span of social media, isn't it?
Yeah.
A tweet only lasts 15 minutes or something, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and like one thing I worry about is like obviously sort of like putting the word out online and stuff, and you think, I'll put it on this platform and that platform, blah blah blah. But how often are you reaching people who are local enough to the area who are going to make the trip?
Exactly.
So we're really trying to sort of like really heavily put it out to people in Lancaster, putting up a lot of posters, flyers, going to sort of like some of the neighbouring towns and cities as well, and putting things there as well, just out in the real world, as well as online obviously and stuff, but really trying to sort of like target the sort of areas where we think it's going to do the most good. And I think as well, to be perfectly honest, like I think I don't know how I should say this, but like like the UK comics community, like where we would talk to these people online and things like that. It's like ultimately we're a small con. Like if you're only going to go to a couple of shows this year, you're as likely to go to the Lakes, obviously, or Thought Bubble and things like that. It's like so. I think what we really want to be doing is sort of like trying to reach people who I guess outside of the regular small press comic community. Who are in Lancaster, out for the day, out with their families, out with their kids, who are just looking for something fun to do, and they might come and check out the comics. And do you know what I mean? And
because there's a very different
sort of like new readers. And stuff.
There's a different vibe as well with these sort of smaller events, which I really love about them, because they're not these huge events where you're stripped, you have to count the number of minutes you're with someone because you could be missing out on sales. Sometimes you can get some really lovely interactions with creators at events like this, and you probably end up walking, for the creators it's good because you probably end up walking away with quite a few of their books. We always say, like, if you have a great interaction with a creator, there's a good chance if you haven't got their work, you're going to pick up something, because a personality, a nice person will always win you over.
Oh God, is that a reason? Oh no.
Yeah, I know what I mean. You sell comics despite yourself, Tony.
That's a few. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Yeah, thank you.
You've got to be doing something right to you. You're selling out. So
yeah.
Oh, I know. Well, maybe they just don't know who it is.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to get Boney Desmond on to sell some comics. That'd be good.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I like. Yeah, exactly. One of the things I like about this sort of Comic Con is it's you come along and it's not like flashy adverts and booth babes and stuff like that. It's just about the craft. Whether it be a role playing game or a comic, I don't mind. But you come along and you're basically sort of showered in people who are just enthusiastic about their art form. And it's not like a hard sell. It's not like a glamorized advertising marketing project. It's just like nice people, and I think you should approach it in the same way that you would a craft fair in the local village hall. It's something to go along to that's nice. We don't have to necessarily just push it in the faces of comic collectors and comic creators. No. It's just something that's local that people hopefully from the town. Lancaster's not a small town. There was always quite a nice bit of footfall in the previous Lancaster one I used to go to. That was just like local people coming along to have a look at things. Like I'll tell you what was like that, Dan. The one we did in Wimbledon Library. Do you remember that one?
Yes, definitely. Yeah,
that was like that. And people coming in. Oh, I didn't realise this was here. I didn't realise about comics. You get to chat to nice people who are looking to look at art and stuff.
People give a shit about stuff that people have worked hard on.
Yeah,
and it shows. Like there's an interest in stuff like. My wife's been watching that glow up thing in the makeup, and I watch it. And when you see these people like worked really hard and their skill coming out, it's fascinating to see. And the same thing I think shines through with comics. If someone come through and they say, look, this fucking person's tried hard here, and people appreciate that.
Yeah, and the banality and the sort of basically drilling down of like mainstream media. Everything's so dull, isn't it? When you see something original come out of the mainstream, it's very rare. So to see stuff that's just out of someone's brain, and comics is the greatest art form for being able to just think of something and create it, isn't it? From a narrative point of view, and just to be able to get hold of that, there's real originality in these people. I think people need to grab hold of that.
There's a lot of lacking stuff with edge. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of, where's the fucking edge?
People are afraid to do stuff, aren't they? But there's that fear. It doesn't exist in mostly doesn't exist in small press. Because you can just do it in your front room. Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where like it is kind of like a talked about and known thing where like a lot of time in small press it's just like the same people. You almost like just you're mainly selling to your peers a lot of things like that. But one thing that I look at that and think is just I just love how it shows how accessible it is. Sometimes it's like, I feel like I started out as a fan of small press and I started making things. And then I was kind of like, I was just welcomed into the community as a small press creator, which I just think I don't think is something that would happen in like a lot of sort of fandoms, or sort of like hobbies that, it's like just a guy like me with a right hand that doesn't even work properly, so I have to draw with my left hand, and I've got a photocopier, and I can make I can make these stupid little books, and people are just like, oh cool, it's nice that I can sort of like I can get involved in making it, and I just think I like the idea of people coming along and seeing these comics and getting the thought, well, maybe I could do it, and
I think that's a big part of it, isn't it? I think, you're encouraged by people doing it for themselves. You can do it for yourselves, not necessarily in the same way or in any way the same way, but just knowing that it's available and easy to do. People, you just do this yourself. I might have a go at that. So a lot of us started.
To be creative, they can. Even if you're not the best drawer or things, there's it's really open to creativity, and sort of adaptation of ideas, sort of things. You can even from like the shittiest zine, or even like making some quite nice sort of polished work is relatively accessible, especially like Kickstarter and things like that. So there's a really broad spectrum of what you can do, and it's all relatively attainable. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting your voice out there, dude, and getting your product out there, we mentioned just before you came on about you've actually made an advert and stuck it on an American podcast, didn't you? How did that come about? It
was like it was listening to the Gutter Boys, and I really enjoyed listening to them caught up on all the episodes like over lockdown when I would go on sort of like long walks. I listened to all the episodes, and it's really nice. Found out about a lot of new creators like that and sort of thing, and some really interesting stuff.
So for people who don't know, it's kind of like it's kind of us but American, really, isn't it, in a way?
Just a nice sort of indie comics podcast, sort of interview chat, sort of casual chat sort of format is really cool. And so I wanted to. They do extra episodes on Patreon, which I wanted to check out, and I didn't mind throwing some money their way because they provided me with a lot of entertainment for free. So they had the sort of like all the tiers, and the higher tier, one of the higher tiers was you could pay for an advert, and it was something like $10 for 4 advert reads over a month, which I think was a really good price.
It's reasonable.
So I thought, why not? Might as well do it at least once, just for the money. For the money, it was worth it. So I think I just did an advert for Bastard Galaxia because I feel like it's the easiest thing that I can market. Like if I try and explain any of my other stuff, it always just boils down to me being.
I can see what you're saying. I would love to hear an advert for the Cats comic you did, but I'm not sure the Americans would have easily understood it. Yeah, totally. I get you, man.
Everything. Whenever I try and promo any of my work, it's always just like, I just kind of wanted to make a comic that was a bit about, and it's all just me rambling, and it's the only way I can describe it. But Bastard Galaxia, you can that's something you can just sort of like put into a sort of a format.
So what did you write? Some copy and send it to them? Is that how it works? Or?
Yeah, that's all happened really. I wrote something and they just said this is fine, and then they read it, and then that was that.
Oh, okay, because some of their stuff has like characters in it and stuff like that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
recently.
I don't know how that happened. Maybe that's more of a newer thing. Maybe you can talk to them about it. But I'm sure now. I'd have to get Steve to do it. To be honest, I don't think I'd be really capable of doing it. But I'm sure Steve could put together like something really impressive, doing his Galaxia voice, putting some music on it, and get that on there. Because they have adverts now with like quite high production value, really, for adverts sort of thing.
They really do, don't they? Yeah, it's very professional sounding.
Yeah.
They almost have like a segment in it, which is just a series of adverts. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, to be honest, like I just put the adverts out there, and then I never checked if we got any extra traffic towards the.
Oh, okay.
Towards the actual webcomic, because I didn't really care that much. I mainly did it because I wanted to support the show, give them a bit more money. I just
get a bit of involvement. Yeah.
If people read Galaxia, good for them. I hope they enjoyed it, but at the same time, if they don't, that's fine. There's plenty of people who have already read it. So
you're also, I think it's a long-lasting thing, because you might be at a convention and say, "I do Bartek Galaxia," and they'll go, "Have I heard about that on a podcast?"
Yeah,
and you can say, "Well, it might have been that advert that I put out." You know, it's a nice little thing like that as well. It gives you a little bit. You don't need it, man, but it does give people something of a credibility thing, doesn't it? You know,
right? Yeah,
you're on an American podcast. It's not bad for you, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I probably won't, to be honest with you, but I wouldn't mind trying it again. Trying to do some other stuff. I mean, I probably won't. I just can't be bothered. But, I feel like it's a cool idea to do.
The curse of the UK small press scene. Yeah. Must do that. Must do on with that. Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. But at the same time, I don't know, because I always think, like, to be honest, I've never checked out anything that I've heard on one of those adverts, and I've heard them a million times over.
Yeah, I know.
So I just think, is it really worth it? And like one thing that is maybe worth mentioning is like, I did like a first draft of the advert sort of thing, talking about Galaxia, and I was like, world where this or that could happen, a guy like this can do this and that, and some feedback I got from some people was just like, just say it's like cartoons, say it's like He-Man and Skeletor, because it's not really a cool way to advertise your stuff. But my friend was saying, like, people aren't fully listening to adverts. They might have it playing in the background. That you can just big up your comic all you want, but if I think he said they're more likely to respond to something if they go, "Oh, he mentioned Ninja Turtles. I like that."
Well, that's the weird simplicity to adverts, isn't it? I was having a conversation with someone about this yesterday and saying, "Do you remember, like, on telly there was those adverts about meerkats? I must have seen them 4,000 times. I couldn't tell you what they were advertising. But WeBuyAnyCar.com, I can tell you what that is, because it's fucking annoying."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's weird, isn't it? All these clever adverts about, diving into a bright blue pool and all this sort of thing. And right at the end, it says, "Buy Chanel No. 5. You think, what the fuck has that got to do with it?
Yeah.
You know?
It's that thing that kind of breaks your pattern of thinking. And you think, what the fuck? But then you're literally considering what they've said to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. WeBuyAnyCar.com. Yeah.
Broke the autoglass one for me. Because if you had to, they say autoglass repair, autoglass replace, jism on your hair, jism on your face. Every time that comes off, it's just, there we go.
I didn't expect the advertising question to go that way, but
no.
I'm happy.
It was a Viz reference, so
that's fine. Yeah. Well, what about you two guys? Would you advertise on something like a podcast for your products? Do you think, or is something you considered, Dan?
Advertised Viper 2 in an Alterna comic.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
The upcoming Kickstarter is one of the pledges you could put to on their Indiegogo, and I backed it, and then obviously all the fucking shit happened, so it never came out in time. So,
right.
That's could have been money wasted. I said, like, coming Kickstarter this time next year, whatever, and then I've blown through that. So, but again, someone might have seen it, and then they might see Kickstarter. But
comics sit in long boxes for years, don't they? Before people look at them sometimes.
So, you never know.
What about you, V? You're about to launch a new project. Is it something you'd consider doing, something on a podcast or something like that? Or
It's weird. Advertising. I always find advertising always weird for me. I just feel weird about advertising. It's probably my sort of self-loathing of marketing my own stuff, even though I know you really need to do it. Yeah. I mean, I think it's something I probably should do more, and I think there's a certain confidence to it as well. The more you do it, the better you get at it. It's like anything. You know,
just don't overdo it. Is the way. Isn't it?
I think an advert in a comic. I mean, we've all done adverts in comics.
We've got one in the new fan scene, haven't we?
Yeah, but to put them on like podcasts or YouTube videos or whatever, it's a different thing, isn't it? So you need to, it's the way you present yourself.
We haven't done too much for this show, have we? The ACP.
No. Do you know, I was reminded by it because I gave out the last of the postcards in America, and I was thinking, fuck me, I've had those postcards for like 5 years.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this show because of one of those postcards, welcome.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello. It only took us about an hour and a half to welcome you to the show, but
if you've got to this point, fucking hats off.
Yeah.
That's the old problem, because I was going to wear the old ACP T-shirt and I hadn't put it on for a while, and I put it on, and because I've shrunk, it's like too baggy. I'm going to have to get another one, guys.
Is it like is it a night shirt that you sleep in?
It looks like that now. Yeah, I was going to wear. I put it on to go out, and I said to Cliff, "What do you think?" He said, "Well, it looks all right." And I went, "It's fucking really baggy."
Do you look like Tom, like the kid, like at the end of Big, that's wearing the adults' clothes?
Yeah, that's what I look like.
Yeah. I think we need to talk about getting some more T-shirts done.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do one of those things where people can order them and the T-shirt company does it, and we get 4% of the sale or something?
That sounds good.
Yeah, either that, or we sort out a design and do some pre-orders, and then we can just order it. Because then we know exactly what sizes to do.
Because people still got those T-shirts, but they're looking a bit raggedy now. They're like 6 years old now at this point, aren't they? Right.
And the T-shirts.
Yeah. I think we still got some smalls in my garage. Yeah, but nobody wants them, do they? Comic fans, don't they? Yeah. You don't want some small T-shirts, do you, for your convention? Probably not.
You never know that. Well,
Give to the kids.
Yeah,
and then tell them to never listen.
Never listen to that. Yeah,
never listen to that. Actually,
earmuffs.
I won't say that. We'll take whatever listeners we can get. Shameless. I'm absolutely shameless. Whatever bumps the numbers up. No, Vince. No, you're not that person. But no. In all seriousness, in a roundabout way, this has been an advert in a kind of way, but it's an advert for something that we fully support, which is Coco Comic Con.
Get to it.
Yes, get to it, especially if you're in the area, or if you're not completely local to the area, but it's within like an hour's drive or something like that.
Oh yeah, it's very worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, because this is an absolute fantastic sounding event.
Matt will cook you a pizza while you're there as well.
Yeah. Pizza and comics. What more can you want?
Oh,
exactly.
God.
I couldn't get a strip club, or
next year.
Maybe not even got the cinema, but pizza and comics are secured. So.
It's just absolutely, that's the best combination, isn't it? Really.
I'll FaceTime you a little turn if you want.
Did you fashion like a bastard Galaxia pizza?
That'd be
good.
One.
Oh yeah. I think I could do that actually. No, I'm not gonna. I don't know. I'm not gonna say that. I don't wanna.
Yeah. Think about it.
Don't wanna have to put my money where my mouth is on that one.
Every pizza you get a free comic, or vice versa, and then jack the price up.
Jack the price up. I was thinking, that's very generous, Dan.
Old Alan Sugar,
I see what you've done there. Yeah.
It'll work well in Lions Den.
It's not free. It's included in the price. That was always my mum's catchphrase.
Yeah. So when it's the pizzas and the comics underneath the pizza, and then they remove the pizza, the comics absolutely fucked with grease. Right. I didn't see this through.
Greasy comic.
How do you feel about comics that you get like with stuff, like packaged with things?
I think it's a good idea. I like it. They do it occasionally with DVDs.
What do you think about the quality of those comics? Do you think they should be good?
Well, the True Grit comic, do you know who drew that? That went out with the True Grit DVD? It's Christian Wildgoose, long before Porcelain.
Oh, well, that.
Yeah.
That's a very
shit, wasn't it?
That's a very fucking high bar to start with, Tony.
Yeah.
That's a high bar to start with, considering what I'm about to talk about.
Oh, here we go.
Which one? I've had some duffers in with Blu-rays, I think.
Well, that's how Master Universe started, didn't it? Wasn't it like free comics with figures?
There you go. Let me just rewind. He did bing, 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 bing. He got the #1 prize there. Tony did. Master of the Universe. They've re-brought out some of their figures, like with extra articulation, but essentially they look like the original.
I saw you moaning about articulation on Twitter
today.
Yeah.
And normally when you go into a toy store these days, or a Forbidden Planet, wherever you get toys, I normally look at the toy shelf and think, how much? Fuck that. And then walk out. Well, I don't walk out of the store.
No. You storm out. You throw everything on the floor.
In the strangest kind of way, I was in a B&M. You know those stores.
So on brand.
And
so
then
on brand.
B&M. I'm not being paid by B&M. But they had Master of the Universe figures there, and for a tenner. Now, for me, a tenner these days, I was like, that's a decent price for a child's toy. Toy. So I bought one. I bought a He-Man. I bought a He-Man because he's the OG. He's the OG. They had lots of Skeletor, but I'm gonna, He-Man. Yeah. Anyway, got the fig, and it said that they've been quite authentic with the, being retro like the old original comics and with the old figures, and they say, it comes with a comic. I thought, great. Get this little comic. No offense to the artist, because the artist is, fair enough. They got paid for it, but it's just piss poor, right? It's right. I think in this line of figures. Oh my god!
Here we go.
Oh my god! I'm about to rant. Here it comes. Fisto. We know Fisto.
My favourite.
It's your favourite, Tony, but he's become popular over the past couple of years because I think because of the name. Because he wasn't one of the big names.
No, he wasn't.
I've
never seen the cartoon, and I bought a figure.
No. He's part of the new line, right? And now, if you ask me, there should be like Man-at-Arms or something like that. But I'm not going to get on that. Right,
Ren Man, come on.
What you get in the first line, Dan, you're with me on this, right? The first line, there's 6 figures. You get He-Man, you get Skeletor, you get Faker, who is He-Man painted a different colour with Skeletor.
Terrible choice.
You get Fisto, you get Evil Lyn, and then Merman, right? Where's your Man-at-Arms? Where's my boy Man-at-Arms?
Man-at-Arms was in all the episodes, wasn't he?
He was in all of them. Anyway, that's by the by. But this comic that comes with a He-Man figure, I would have thought if you're getting a comic that comes with a figure, I know he's on board with me here because like our favourite comic by one of Matt's best comics is about a guy from Master of the Universe, so he knows what I'm talking about. Now, now, surely the comic that you get with the action figure should be about that figure. Is that not the case?
I think so. That's fair enough. What's the comic about? Just some random...
It's about Fisto bumping into He-Man, having a fight with him, and the He-Man turns out to be Faker. He-Man's not even in it. He's not even in it.
That's a slap in the face.
There's no words. It's about 8 pages, so perhaps...
That's proper wank.
Perhaps
Didn't they used to be like that, though? The retro ones. They weren't words in it. It was just...
Yeah. I think that's fine, because then... Because you don't put words and pictures in it, you don't have to translate anything for different markets. Yeah. So that works perfectly well. But surely a comic should be about the figure that you've purchased.
Yeah.
Surely.
I was looking up to see if I could get another Fisto for the office, but they're still quite expensive online.
Really?
You see,
where did you pick yours up, Vince?
£10. £10
you
of B&M.
See if you get a Fisto.
I'll go back and look for a good Fisto.
Get me a Fisto when you're back.
Matt, what you were going to say?
You see, I think, Vince, what's happened is you have been fooled. You've fallen into a classic faker ruse. You've not bought a He-Man. You have bought a well-disguised faker.
Don't give me that. Don't play with my melon, man.
He was so well disguised. He had He-Man's name on the front of the package, indistinguishable. Classic faker ruse.
No,
you think faker? He's rubbish. He's blue. He's not.
He's caught you out.
He's fooled you. He has fooled you there, Vince.
Oh, no. Vince, you mug.
You got mugged off by Faker.
No, I'm not having this. I'm not having this.
Right into Watchdog or something like that. Right into them.
No.
Those figures are basically just being sold to like 30, 40-year-old men, aren't they? There's no...
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean. I bought one. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
There's no 12-year-old kid going, oh, fuck me, I've got to get a fucking...
Oh, really need a fist.
I mean, if they're talking like that, Dan, that's disgraceful. Kids shouldn't be talking like that at their age.
No, they do, though, in Croydon.
Usually by whittling their nails with some kind of switchblade.
Yeah.
Yeah, some Rambo knife.
I will say the figure itself is pretty fucking awesome. It's a great figure. But because like the comic, I thought this is great. You know, kids get this action figure, they get a comic with it.
Yeah.
Where is the love that goes? Yeah.
There's no way anyone seriously buys a Fisto figure without it being a gift or something.
It has to be. It has to be. They're making money off just the fact that there's a character called Fisto. I mean, Tony's bought a He-Man
That's the
figure.
only reason I bought it.
That's the only reason I bought it. Why is he in the first line? Why?
He's got a massive hand as well.
People would buy
really
it for irony, wouldn't they? And
yeah. I'm sorry, everyone. I
can't get a betting shop pen up there too now.
What was that line he says? I tried to fist them all, He-Man, but I couldn't manage it or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
When one of the episodes of the new series that Kevin Smith did, which I didn't have a problem with, like a lot of people did, but Fisto's in it, and a Fisto's in it because it's Kevin Smith writing it. That's for one thing. And he says the line, "I'm going to fist Skeletor so bad."
That's nice.
That's just because Kevin Smith's written it, isn't it?
Yeah. That's
It's
he was stoned
it's a bit
while
easy
trying
to fucking fall into.
It's
doing that,
lazy.
isn't it?
It's lazy.
I blame drugs.
Yeah.
The one before was like written before. It was kind of wasn't self-knowing, was it?
No.
And
yeah, they didn't know. It's like when this is the coolest character name ever.
Yeah.
And I
always wonder about things though. Do you remember Lana Lang? I mean, what's Lana backwards? I was always suspicious.
Oh
of
yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Very suspect.
Right.
Yeah.
No one can see this. No one can see this, but I'm actually putting in the Zoom chat to the fellas.
We don't do that, do we?
Images of the chat. Yeah, no one else can see this, but I need, because Matt called me out and said he said it was a faker. I just want to know. I just want to let you know it's a He-Man figure. Look at that.
Vince will not be able to rest.
Okay.
I will not rest. I will not sleep until everyone
Matt
knows.
is thinking why he's here at this point. He's going, what the fuck am I still doing here?
Yeah. In fact, I think
you know what? Like I actually have loads of opinions. Too many things to say. I'm a big Master of the Universe fan. I've got all these figures.
Yeah.
Like I'm the target audience for these stupid figures. I've got loads of stuff to say. I'm just like I better not go off. We don't have the time for all the things I can say.
It's the repaint, isn't it? Fucking He-Man with Skeletor's top on. You know what I mean? This kind of
Faker's just
That's a bit of a fucking scam, and
that normally comes about like 3 or 4 or 5 lines down the road when they're running out of ideas. That shouldn't be in the first.
I mean, because essentially the Master Universe figures are just like essentially the same frame that they keep punching out, and like slightly different.
There's a glory to that, though, isn't there? Isn't it? You know, it's they do that with figures. They do that with comics.
There's a good episode.
I don't know if this will...
Go on, Matt.
I was going to say, I don't know if this will calm you down, Vince, but that wave with Fisto in it isn't actually the first wave of Master Universe Origins. The first wave had He-Man, Teela, Man-at-Arms, Skeletor, Evelyn, and Beastman.
That sounds reasonable to me.
This is actually a later wave where the Evelyn is repainted to look like she did in the 2000 series. It's not the original Evelyn from the first wave. I think He-Man in that wave has a different face to the He-Man that was in the first wave. They remolded his face. Skeletor in the first wave had a goofy grin.
You've talked me down, Matt. I honestly think though I just had an on-air midlife crisis.
I didn't know if it would make him more angry.
I'm a 40-year-old man talking about a fucking He-Man toy. I have become the thing I hate.
I know it's not supposed to overanalyze He-Man and Master of the Universe, but you know, like the gang sitting around and they're coming up with names. Who do you think says, you know what, Masters of the Universe? That's what we should call ourselves. Because that's quite presumptuous, isn't it?
Grandiose, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like saying you're an awesome comics podcast. Who the fuck hell would do that?
Came up with that
That's
shit.
100% fact. What are you talking about? Back yourself.
Check yourself.
Oh God.
But, now you can probably see why I was staying quiet during the whole Master of the Universe thing, because I know too
You're an
much.
expert.
I've made a right dick.
You two should do a
No,
Master
you
Universe
haven't.
podcast.
Knowing too much stupid stuff.
No, because you haven't known too much stupid stuff. Because as I was ranting about it, there was probably a few people listening that were like, "You don't know what you're talking about, Vince.
No,
you don't know what you're talking about."
Do you think I should watch an episode? or is it shit?
Masters.
No, it's shit.
Watch the first ever
From someone
episode.
who's got all the figures.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Watch the first episode, Tony. It's marvelous.
I used to watch Thundercats. That was all right. That's similar, isn't it?
Thundercats is it's banging. Anyway.
Banging.
Oh, anyway.
Take a breath.
Right.
Yeah, it's the hot weather, folks. It's just.
God, it's hot here, man. I'm boiling.
Oh yeah. It's...
But we are enjoying this chat.
Oh yeah.
The pod as always. And Matt, man, obviously you're sticking around for the rest of the show and recommending some stuff. But we both appreciate you talking about the Comic Con, but also being very open and honest with us. We really
Thanks,
really
man. That was interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Good. You're going to stick around, aren't you?
Yeah, of course he is.
Yeah, sure, of course.
The puppy's not like breaking down the door like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, is it?
God knows what she's doing. As long as she's not bothering me, I don't care. She could be ripping up my stuff. Whatever. I'm checked out now. No, there's no noise. I imagine she's asleep. She's probably saving that for 5 in the morning.
Oh,
man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
How long you had him again, Matt? How long you had him?
Only a couple of weeks, really.
Oh, okay. They stopped that howling all night. You know when you first get them, and they're like,
God, yeah.
Worse than having a baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's been pretty ruthless.
So instead, let's talk about some comics. But do we have any shout-outs this week, gents?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I've got one that I found online, which I think you guys are going to like. It was sort of rando find of mine because I'm a pervert, obviously. But
is that rando or Randy?
Well, a little bit of both.
Oh,
yeah. I found Asteroid Belters, which is a pin-up special. A collection of, I've described it as a collection of saucy but fun sci-fi pin-ups, and the art looks absolutely incredible. Have you guys seen this, by the way?
Right, how do you spell it, Tony? I'm gonna.
It's A-double-S. It's like asteroid, but with a double S.
That is that's some absolute high quality wordplay there.
Yeah,
it's funny if you type that into Kick. Is this a crowdfunder? Did you say?
Yeah, sorry, it's on Kickstarter. Is where I found it. Yeah. Now, it leads into a question that we received from Boney Desmond earlier today. So Boney wrote in and asked, "Have you ever whacked it to a comic?" Thank you, Boney, for the question. I'd like to say I don't think I ever have. I don't like to make comics dirty for me like that.
No, it's like there's a risk of sort of soiling it.
Exactly.
Do you think that's why people slab them?
Maybe, yeah. That's why they have to bag them. Yeah. What about you guys? Boney would like to know.
Boney, thanks for sending in the question. Thanks for listening to the pod. No.
That's a yes, Dan. Write that down.
Yeah. Me thinks he doth protest too much.
Matthew, what about you?
Joking, man.
Yeah, that's quiet. He's gone quiet.
I'm going to be quite controversial here.
Yeah.
Back when I was younger,
here we go.
None of the smartphone stuff.
Yeah.
No.
You had to get it where you could.
The only internet we had was in the family room. Mum and Dad, if you're listening, I'd stop listening if I were you. The only internet we had
maybe about 20 minutes ago, but yeah.
The only internet we had was in the family room. But I could order whatever I wanted on Amazon,
Yeah.
So it was like it wasn't really like 20 years ago. It was a long time ago. I just ordered loads of fucking day comics.
Oh, nice.
Oh God. Kept me going through my teenage years.
Well, to be fair,
get it on your recommends list. They didn't do that back then, did they?
Even in his
I'm feeling a bit smug because they're all out of print now, and they're worth loads of money.
That is right, man. And we looked at a load in the States, and Keith is a man in his 50s, and he had a little bit of an almost incident where he'd stopped reading Cherry Pop Tart when I gave it to him to read.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
There's a real. I'm trying to think of the word to say.
I think I've got copies of Penthouse Comics.
Eros Comics and stuff like that. There was loads of it, man. Yeah, absolutely loads of it.
But certainly on crowdfunding, we've talked about it before in the past. Like those are the ones that always get the money. But there's a real booming market.
Well, normally I sort of scan past them, but the artwork in Asteroid Belters really caught my attention this week, and I have backed it. So
I mean, the pun work is. Funnily enough, it's the only thing that comes in when you type in the word asteroid. like
Oh, that's
that
good.
on the search. But like just the words like there's a bulging package.
Yeah.
There's an oversized package. There's a surprise package. There's the total package, and what got me is they don't have stretch goals. They have stretch holes.
What?
Oh, do they? Oh, nice. Yeah. See, to me, I'm sort of imagining. I like when I often read a comic or back something on a crowdfunder. I like to imagine the people who are making this, and it's almost like to me like a room full of like maybe Playboy dummies, Playboy bunnies. who are sort of sitting for something, innit? Playboy bunnies are sort of sitting about drawing comics, but like giggling and looking at each other's breasts and stuff whilst doing it. A lot of sexy ladies. Okay. In a room together. That's the creators of this comic. That's how I see them in my mind.
I think the thing is, I also wonder how me putting this into this search is going to affect my Kickstarter algorithm going
I'm pleased.
Forward.
I'm pleased for you. I think it'll cheer you up. Stop you getting angry about Master of the Universe by looking at asteroid belts.
Tony, not at all. Vince might quite wildly change your.
Quite one's the worst.
Yeah.
He's got secretly hidden depths. Dark depths, Vince.
No. Hold on. Back.
Must be said, when I did that fucking Lick It Man last week.
Oh, yeah.
I did get loads of recommends, and you might want to check out this. I was like, oh, bloody hell, look at these.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. I mean, there's a certain genre, isn't it? It's like, that sort of saucy humour and.
Cunnilingus comics.
Yeah,
more like cunnilingus.com.
Funny Lingus.
It'll be it'll be a topic show one day in the future. God, no. What if I?
Yeah. Oh. Bring it on. They always get large listenerships when we do erotic comics.
Whatever happens in the privacy of your own home, Tony.
Yeah, good. And the other thing I'd like to
put your hands all over my comics.
He's singing again.
He's singing. I love it when he sings.
You can't call that singing, Jesus.
Yeah. the other Kickstarter I'd like to shout out, which will have a day to go when you're listening to this, is Clownface and Mask of Fear. It has 1 day to go. It's a full colour gory slasher comic from Hellbound Media. I like what those guys do. I think I'm glad that they're doing it, and they know their market. They know the gory slasher stuff they do, and they do it with a little smirk sometimes, but it's good stuff, and I've backed it.
They were fantastic fun when we did Halloween comics.
They were, weren't they? Ago. Yeah. Even though they did introduce us to a lady who has an OnlyFans account.
And scared you?
She did. You scared you. You hid under the table.
I was gone.
But they're my two.
Oh dear. Dan, you got any?
I've got an absolute myriad of Kickstarter comics.
He's used a big word. Go on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rattle through them quite quickly. We've got 10 Earth-Shattering Blows, Tome 1, the first arc of the popular webcomic. 10 Earth-Shattering Blows, a crazy action-packed ride, finally arrives in book form. That's smashed through its target, and you've got another 26 days to go. We've got a Slash Royale, or Slasher horror comic series. After the murder of his father, follow the young man's hunt for revenge. He goes up against the most evil slasher of all time. That's actually smashed for its goal. You've got another 10 days to go on that. That's fantastic. We've got Limits. What if you had the most powerful weapon in the world, but no way to recharge it? That's just shy of its goal, but we've got absolutely tons of time in it. I highly recommend that book. It's a great comic. We've got The Legend of Mariposa, The Vulcan's Challenge. Bombastic Lucha Libre comic action, 16 luchadors enter, only one can win. The Legend of La Mariposa continues. That's rapidly getting to its goal. 20 days to go. That's a fantastic comic. We've got a No Brainer by friend of the show, Edison Yeo. That's the 48th page. Fourth issue comes with 2 big stories featuring the brand new story, Kaiju Cash, which he kind of let us know about and talk about on the last, when he was on last, wasn't he?
Yeah, I bet that. Yeah, it's got 3 days to go, not long to go, that one. Yeah.
Ah, shit, maybe on that one. So 2 days by the time you listen to this. We've got Skrawl 2, which will have 3 days to go when you hear this. That's Punch for its goal. Skrawl 2, a comic magazine featuring the Skrawl Lords and special guest comics interviews features Skrawl. And last but not least, we've got Morgan's Organs, issue 1 to 4, the adult anatomy workplace comedy. We see the body as an office building where the organ workers keep their human alive, except Morgan's body don't give a crap about him. Highly recommend it. All the Morgan's Organs 1 to 3 are brilliant comics. If you like the humour of this show, you'll like that. So, all your boots. And also, last but not least, I appeared on 2 Geeks Talking with.
I've been watching that. Yeah.
Sasso. I can't remember anything I fucking said because it was like one of the.
You're very interesting, my friend. I watched it and enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. It was Ian Ashcroft, but it sounded like the most hard job interview of your life. And Kurt does throw some real hardball questions at me, and I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, what's that?"
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Mm.
Yeah. So not like what the square root of 32.10 is like that, but
Yeah.
challenge your dad to think about it.
Yeah. There's a shout out I forgot to say. Dan, this would be one for you. Do you know there's a RoboCop video game coming out?
Oh, I've heard about this. Did you know about that, Dan?
Tell me all about it.
Did you know about that, Dan?
No one's mentioned it.
Still my funniest joke. I set the alarm. I set the alarm for 1:30 in the morning so I could text him that message the other day because it made me laugh so much.
Thanks for everyone who sent me that. I really not having a pop, but I'm glad I'm in your thoughts in it.
It says a lot that everyone knows what one of your favourite films of all time is.
Yes.
I think when you got to the 8th one, you went, look, everyone's really kind, but there are 8 people have messaged me about that. Whereupon I messaged you saying, did you know there was a and then I set the alarm for 1:30 and did it again.
Yeah. Tony did it about 5 times in an hour.
Yeah.
And then waited for 24 hours to do it out of the blue again.
It makes me laugh so much.
Yeah. But I'll send
I'll
send you a link, Dan, to the video. So
please do. Yeah. Can I give a little shout out to my mate Crystal? She's on a sort of sponsored thing at the moment. I'll tell you. I think I've told you about it on the chat, haven't I, guys?
Yes.
I'll tell you about it afterwards, Matt. So well done. She's reached the bronze level on it. So well done, Crystal.
Wonderful! That's
very proud of you. She messaged me earlier saying she's reached bronze. So good luck. Good luck, mate.
Do you think gold is on the horizon? Do you think gold is on the horizon?
She's going for gold.
Going for.
It
left me hanging. I was expecting people to say gold then. Matthew Kelly.
See, I was going to say gold, and then no one else said it, and I was like, "Shit, I'm glad I didn't say gold."
Self-conscious.
You weren't supposed to say gold.
Yeah,
we were supposed to say gold.
Yeah, you were.
You'll be interested in it, Matt. I'll tell you all about it when we finish this. And
Matthew Kelly also didn't do Going for Gold.
Yeah, he did. No, it wasn't Matthew Kelly. He was the other dude, the Irish dude.
Yeah, Irish fella.
See,
Matthew.
You had a go at me and then immediately realised you were wrong, Tony. I'm going to cherish.
Sorry.
I'm going to cherish that.
That's me. I don't mind admitting I'm wrong. I don't mind.
Matthew Holness.
No,
it's not him.
That's Bob Holness. Also, interestingly, the first person ever to play James Bond. Did you know that story? I bored you with that fact before.
Was he?
Yeah, he did it on the radio.
Oh wow.
Oh, Henry fucking Kelly.
Henry Kelly.
Henry fucking Kelly.
To those two people who remember what Going for Gold was.
Yeah.
Basically, if there's ever a drop in the advertising schedule where they didn't have a program to run, they went, "Oh, what the fuck are we gonna do? I'll put on Series 2, Episode 37 of Going for Gold."
No, I remember it when I was a little kid around my nan's house, and it was daytime telly, wasn't it? It was a daytime telly game show. Yeah.
And they
students liked it.
A lot of students whose English wasn't their prime language, and they had a bit of banter back and forth when they tried to answer questions. Good old days.
Anyway, good luck, Crystal.
Yeah.
You're in our thoughts.
Yeah.
Put your work in, get your rewards, as it were.
Yeah.
Just letting Dan flounder towards the end of that sentence.
Didn't know where to take that one.
No.
Yeah.
But speaking of gold medal worthy stuff, how about we recommend
Vince,
some...
love it.
Thanks,
great.
Yeah, nice.
How about we recommend some comics? And as always, the guest goes first. What do you want to recommend to our lovely listeners, Matt?
Today I will be recommending.
Very formal.
Are you saying it? Are you saying it like you're on like?
It's like he's about to give out an Oscar.
I don't know.
Today, Matthew, I will be recommending.
Go on. Sorry, we interrupted you.
I remember last time I recommended something, I just sort of mumbled through it. I was trying to really go for it. Because I don't know. Okay, you've thrown me off now.
What was it called again, Matt? I forgot what you called it.
Daddy. It's called Daddy, and it's by Beatrice Mossman.
Right.
And so Daddy by Beatrice Mossman. I think it's in issue 1. And what's really cool, it says on the back, number 1 of the Daddy issues. But it's a really cool book. It's about how her father passed away before she was born. So it's kind of like an autobiography thing, but it's kind of like just little stories like based around that subject, sort of like showing different times in her life when she's thought about it or when it's affected her and things like that. Her dad, it says at the beginning, her dad passed away at a funeral. He drowned while he had gone away to someone else's funeral about a week after he'd found out that he was going to become a dad. So he died before she was born, which is really intense. But her dad was something of an artist, and in the front of the comic, it shows like a painting by him, and also bizarrely he had like a mold, like a cast mold made of his hand, like so she has like a model of his hand, which is really cool. And those things sort of like come up in the comics. Like I say, they're all just sort of like little mini stories and stuff. But like, you know, she's like she compares the hand to like a fossil, like his fossil sort of thing, and just like really bizarre, weird things. And she talks about, and it kind of like reflects back on sort of the things I've been saying. I kind of see this from like another perspective, like, you know, like being a dad who's sort of contemplated my own mortality sort of thing, especially with like being ill this year and stuff like that. It really sort of spoke to me and stuff, and seeing things from the other side and stuff. But her sort of like kind of trying to sort of like know her father like through his art, and there's all sorts of, there's a really unique perspective of just someone who grew up without a dad and knowing that he died and things like that, and things about like not remembering, like not knowing his face and things. And there's a few times where she kind of compares him like to Darth Vader, like Darth Vader kind of like stands in as her dad throughout some of the story, which is like really interesting. There's one story in it where she once she reaches puberty, she feels like really guilty every time she masturbates because she's worried that her dad can see her, and there's like which is something I always worried about, like the dead people being able to see everything that you can do, and it'd be weird to like, you know, have your dad as sort of ultimate authority figure, like you know, like
kind of the reason I cover up the webcam at work, you know.
yeah, exactly. And there's a really funny story where that Darth Vader comes in and he cuts off her wanking hand.
God. Maybe that was what it meant in The Empire Strikes Back. Maybe that's
I am your father. Stop doing that, you dirty bastard.
Stop playing with yourself, you little bastard. Yeah.
There's just like loads of like weird little stories and really sort of like unique perspectives and reflections on things. There's like a really interesting one where I had like a funny, kind of funny story, I guess. I don't know. I found it funny, but I don't know if it's supposed to necessarily be funny. But there's like a painting that her dad did, and she thinks it's a cyclops, and she's like, oh, I love this kid of drawing up a cyclops kid, and she's like mimicking this like this crazy little cyclops kid, and her mum's like, oh, that's actually a painting of your brother as a baby. And then you see the painting and it shows it again, it's like, oh yeah, I can see it looks like a minion, like the head just looks like a big eye, but then when you see the painting again, it's like, oh yeah, that's a baby, and that's the baby's head and stuff. And she sort of like recontextualizes all these things in her mind. And so it's just full of like all these like funny little stories, and then some are sad, but they're all sort of like different kinds of stories, but they're all really creative. And just all sort of like interestingly told. Like some, like I say, some are a joke, and then some like kind of like leave you more to sort of like think about things, or just sort of like telling a perspective or a line of thought that she would often have and stuff like that. But the thing that made this comic stood out, and just straight away is the most remarkable thing, is it's in the shape. The whole comic is in the shape of a coffin.
All right.
So it's really, really cool, and it comes with like a little, like almost like a sleeve that's like flowery. Like the whole thing is just like really incredible to look at. It's like, it's kind of like, it looks like it was bound like individually, like stitched together, and there's like pages where portions have been like cut out, and you can see through to the next page, and they're kind of like windows from one page to another, and seeing other people and things like that. It's just a really amazing looking book. The art inside is all just, it's really graphic, just full of like really, really tight lines. Everything just looks absolutely incredible. I honestly don't know how you could see this book and not at least be intrigued by it. It's just like, as soon as I saw the book, I instantly went to I think to Etsy, and I bought everything that was on there.
Oh, real.
And all the books are all the books are really incredibly beautiful, and just really well made, and just like there's books that have like kind of like shiny red paper kind of glued into the pages, making kind of like a bloody mirror that you can see yourself in almost, and stuff like that. Like some really cool ideas. They've all got like little portions cut out and little windows. Every comic came like individually wrapped with like a ribbon and like sealing wax on it. Like so much attention to detail in all of these books. Absolutely incredible. So yeah, it's an amazing looking book, and the contents I think are just really good as well. Everything about it just really speaks to me. And
That's
like
a nice find, man. Yeah, that sounds great.
It's really super nice. And if you like sort of autobio, it is autobio, but then because they're just sort of like little punchy stories all about this one subject, nothing sort of overstays its welcome, and it's really incredible. I just think.
You got the link to hand for that, Doodle?
No, I don't, because I'm unprepared and rubbish.
We'll stick it in.
We'll stick it in the show notes.
Yeah.
But I think you can find Beatrice Mossman. It's just on Twitter and Instagram, Beatrice Mossman. So BeatriceMossman, and then that's how I found a link to her Etsy store, I think. So yeah,
amazing. Go direct to the source and get the book. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what we're about.
Yeah.
Totally.
Totally. Who would like to go next?
Well, I got two, babes. Do you want me to bookend?
Yeah, I've got a couple of short ones, but you can bookend this.
Okay. Well, if I go first and you go next, maybe. Yeah. So my first one is called Fuff, Fuff, by a guy called Jeffrey Lewis. I bought issues 11 and 12. Have you guys ever heard of this dude?
No.
No, I'm a bit ashamed that I haven't. To be fair. It was new to me. They were selling a run of them at yesterday when I popped in, and I thought I'd just grab a couple of the recent ones. It actually goes up to 13. I think they sold out in the most recent copy. They're only $3.50 and £4.50 in Gosh, which I think is good value. It's a good price, isn't it? As well as being a comic creator, if any kind of looking into him, and you find out in his comic as well, he's also a busy musician. If you look on Spotify, you can find loads of his stuff. He's either as Jeffrey Lewis with a J or Jeffrey Lewis and the Voltage is the current band. He describes himself as also an illustrator. He's actually done comics and artwork for a lot of music projects. So there's we see this quite a lot occasionally, don't we? We see a lot of, Peter Bagg did album covers, Daniel Clowes did album covers, you sort of thing. You see a lot of crossover stuff, but he's also done comics for bands as well as their albums. So he's done album artwork and comics for the bands like The Cribs. A favourite band of mine, he's done some stuff for the Mountain Goats, and he did a comic promotion for their song San Bernardino, which is very catchy. Now I said San Bernardino, look that up, because you won't leave your brain for a while. And also the band Art Brut, who were sort of cool for quite a long time, weren't they? So on an impulse, I bought the comics, and they were actually a really nice surprise. US comic size, black and white interiors, and like I say, a good sensible price. The artwork reminds me a little bit of maybe Evan Dorkin, something like that. They go from being quite sort of straightforward, almost like clean line, and then when the sort of narrative builds, they become this sort of just crash bang wallop page full of the craziness, that we saw with stuff like Milk and Cheese. Really, he shows some real skills in it. That actually had me feeling bad that I hadn't read anything by him before and not recognised his work previously. I may have seen it before, but it's certainly not a name that I really went to. Issue 11 has got a number of stories in it, but the main an opening story. Quite often in an anthology, the opening story will be the long one, and then there's a few shorter ones at the back, and it's called Stories My Dad Tells, which I think is just a genius story, a genius sort of narrative structure. Now, Jeffrey's dad is clearly something of a character and a storyteller, and it has him sitting in a coffee shop with Jeff's brother, and he gives him a long story. It starts off with the two of them just sitting across the table, which is very Adrian Tomine, isn't it? It's that sort of, it's got a little bit of that feel to it, just two people across the table talking to each other, but it just goes off on one, which I loved. And it's he's sitting there and he's telling his son why he gave up a career in psychology, and his son's going, yeah, whatever, and it turns out that he went to a cabin in the woods, did too much acid, and then allegedly met a caveman who turned out to be his ancestor and talked him out of a career in psychology, which is just fucking loved. Yeah. I love that. The end of the issue is narrated by the caveman, who it turns out went to Hollywood and tried to pitch movies after this happened. And he tried to pitch something. I think you'd like it actually, Dan. It's called Drone Strike Native Soil. That was one. Another story he tried pitching to Hollywood is a story about paparazzi photographers trying to get photographs of zombie celebrities after there's been a zombie apocalypse. And another story about which is called Alexandria, which is a riff on the Great Library, you know. But in the future, the internet has gone down in 2095, and it's called Alexandria. So this is just sort of stories of this caveman wandering around trying to pitch stories in Hollywood, which it just went off on one. And I just thought, I didn't expect that from this sort of, you know, it looks a little bit like, you know, your everyday indie American UK comic where there's sort of two people talking. You think, oh, here we go, yawn. And then it just goes off on one and goes a bit crazy. Now, 12 didn't let me down at all, not from the moment that it started at all. So issue 12 was about God, who is flying about through all of reality in the Starship Enterprise, and he's a bit bored. And he keeps trying to create new things. And at one point he says, let there be brightness. And then he says, no, that's too similar to that other thing I created. Oh, fuck. Or this. So this is immediately a bit nuts. And then characters from previous issues of Fuff, I love just saying that word, Fuff. That's a great name for a title. I don't know where it comes from. Start contacting us with questions. So Annabella the Gambler and her unicorn moose, she contacts God and says, can you tell me, is communism better than capitalism? And he sort of has a discussion with her. And then the sitar playing clam, who was in issue 4 apparently, and then he asked God, has the internet improved life? And so he just gets it, and he riffs on these ideas and on these characters from older stories, and it just becomes, I mean, God knows how much ink and how much time he spent on some of these pages, but gorgeous stuff. Really, really good. I also went and invested in listening to his stuff on Spotify, and there are, God, it's about 20 albums on there.
Wow.
He's got these sort of lyrically funny, you know, very like the Mountain Goats, actually, just little stories about why he liked the food in England, or, you know, stuff like that. There's a whole album called the Crass album, which I immediately listened to as my first choice.
Nice.
Yeah, and if you look at him on Instagram, you can find him on Instagram, Jeffrey Lewis Band, JEFFREY, Jeffrey Lewis Band. You can find his website, thejeffreylewisSite.com, which I also think is kind of genius. And you can see he's done a post about dropping comics off with Gosh and stuff. And he's currently on tour. I think he's just had an album out. There's one of these sort of multimedia guys where you don't have to just look at the comic. You've got an album to listen to. There's some short films and stuff like that. And I kind of like that sort of thing, really. So that's called Fuff. There you go.
Nice.
Real.
So I'll go up next. A couple of short ones, because I've been looking at some sort of like comic strips and sort of amusing panel type things. I'm discovering on my Instagram, actually, because they're just quick and easy, like 4-panel reads. So, do you have dark humour, guys and listeners? No, you don't believe in dark humour? Then maybe the Daily Obstruction won't be for you.
Do you know what? I was so pleased when I saw you said you were going to talk about this, because I regularly post this on the Slack, because it's fucking mental.
It is mental and absolutely amazing. I obviously I've been reading on Instagram. So
that's why I look at it. Yeah.
So Daily Obstruction on Instagram. And they're funny little, it's almost like they're just different sketches, different twisted sketches. On Twitter, it's Daily Obstruct, and there's just you could just go onto that page and just scroll down all the different things. Now, they're weird, wonderful, and dark, twisted sketches. Very, but very clever at the same time. To tell you the sort of humour that immediately these strips make me laugh out loud. Do they make you laugh out loud, Tony?
They do. They're crackers.
The one here, the one I will point out, because some of these you just need to see for yourself. 2 guys trying to write sort of articles. One was going, writer's block. Yeah, I can't think of a good title for my article. What's it about? It's the merging of the nation's 2 biggest rope manufacturers. How about rope companies tie the knot? Wow, that's better than what I had. And then it cuts to a page of a notepad that just says, this merger will have you shooting ropes of cum. And the latest one,
the second one,
the latest one is almost. There's a real sort of Junji Ito influence to his latest one about the chimney fucker. Have you seen this one? Tony?
Yeah, I like this one. Yeah,
it's like black and white, and there's cross hatching and stuff. And there's 2 guys in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. Have I ever told you about the chimney fucker? No, what's that? and then you see like there's all these sound effects and these hands appear at the top of this, like appearing from a chimney. Some things are better learned firsthand, which is dark enough as itself. But then later, there's the guys in the middle of in the middle of a lake on a boat. No chance of us seeing that chimney fucker out here. Yeah. Let's get back to that chimney. It's hilarious. There's some brilliant.
It reminded me of that Onions thing you sent me, Dan. Yeah. Do you remember that dude? Yeah, yes. A bit like that.
Yeah.
What's that guy called again? Something Onions.
Yeah, I can't remember now. Yeah, you got me the book, didn't you, on Christmas?
Yeah. There's just loads of different sketches. I think the first one I saw, there's a mouse talking to a teddy bear who looks quite sad, and the mouse is going, "You should be more open with people." The teddy bear smiles, and the next frame is he's flashing someone in the park. Yeah, Daily Obstruction. Check it out because it will just. There's a wonderful darkness to it that I think is really appealing. I think they're a US creator. I don't want to. I'm not sure.
No, I don't know.
But it definitely feels like there's a dark English humour to it. Do you know what I mean? A dark British sort of humour. Yeah, love it. Check it out. It'll make you laugh all the time.
Cool.
Dan, what have you got?
I've got a superhero comic on Webtoon.
Hey.
Which is, I'm not sure if that's a curveball or not, but it only launched yesterday on the...
Oh, wow.
That's a lie. It launched on the 9th of July. Oh, it was right. And it's called SpandEx. And it's Toshi, a.k.a. Botfly, becomes the sidekick and lover of the world's most powerful superhero, Masterpiece. When the relationship starts to sour, Toshi's supervillain crush helps him devise a way to survive the world's most dangerous breakup. And the first chapter's on there in 2 parts, and it tells the kind of how these 2 characters meet, Botfly and what's her name called again? I can never remember it. Masterpiece. And they're foiling a robbery by a rock, paper, scissors, who is a trio of bad guys, and it's a real load of fun. When they sort of like foil this robbery and they're talking to one another, and she's like, "What was your name?" He's like, "Oh, Botfly." She's, "What, that insect that lays parasites in other animals?" She went, "No, like robot fly." He goes, "You're gonna have to think about that, rethink that name." So it's a nice little costume that the main character's got. It's like all black with kind of like green symbol on it. It looks really nice. So I can't wait to see where this goes.
So has it sort of uploaded like a bunch of pages and then it's going to go one at a time? Is that how webtoons work?
I don't know if they do this thing where they update weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. I'll tell you what, I'll send it in the chat, but we'll put it in the
but there's more than enough to get you.
If you kind of like read this and think, I'm loving this, subscribe to it, and then you get notified every time a new episode comes along. And the artist name, which I'm going to murder now, is Ross Radke, Radke.
Okay.
And you can find them on Instagram / Ross Radke, Twitter Radke, and it's all this stuff on there. It's got really nice style, very kind of modern, and I'm kind of marvel the way they put these strips out, because they seem a lot of work in a webtoons comic.
That's a great, that's a fun looking title.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Go check that one out. So obviously they're gonna get together, and then it's all gonna go wrong. So
classic,
good stuff.
Before Tony finishes us off, my other quick funny tunes for you to check out on a daily basis is from Mr. Will Henry. He calls himself a simple cartoonist, and he's the creator of Wallace the Brave. Which is a title that I wasn't really aware of before, but this is very much sort of like Calvin and Hobbes. If you take out the fantastical, like the Hobbes part of it, and it is just the daily adventures of a mischievous little kid and the parents around them, and just the day to day. This is amazing. This book, and I've just discovered it, and it seems like Will has. There's a couple of books of it. There's a couple of collections of paperbacks. So if you look on Amazon for like Wallace the Brave, I think the 4th one came out fairly recently. But I discovered it on Instagram, Mr. Will Henry. You can follow him on Instagram there, and that's a perfect sort of place. That's one of the good avenues of that sort of site, I think, for newspaper style strips because of the way it reads. And certainly this is a good example of that because, you know, I mean, I'm just picking up on the latest ones and it's just kids enjoying the summer, but they're just, you know...
There's quite a few I read on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even old ones, they put there's Calvin and Hobbes ones and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. But this is right in the wheelhouse as a lovely... Will's got a great sort of sketchy sort of style that works brilliantly, but it's the writing... to get both the voices of the kids and like the parents as well, to get them on that same sort of level is amazing stuff because I was chuckling at all of them, and I don't want to spoil anything for you because all of them have that lovely pace, but all of the jokes absolutely land. I mean, the latest adventure was Wallace was just leading a bunch of his mates because he wanted to throw his shoes into the bay, and as little kids do, it's like, yeah, all right, let's watch him do this. So there's a load of kids just following him. All his mates are following him just to see, like, you know, when you made the best of your time when you were a little kid, weren't you? You're just hanging out with your mates. It's like, right, let's just hang about, just playing about in a field or by a river. It captures the fun of being a kid, but for a grown-up sort of audience as well. It's amazing stuff. And some of the kids are quite dark-minded, so... that appeals to me as well. So yeah, follow Mr. Will Henry and get on Wallace the Brave because I'm gonna go and back order some of the original collections.
Oh, nice! That's great.
Yeah, great stuff. I think they're going to be small little collections as well. I think they're only like £7-8 a book, that kind of thing. So great stuff. Anyway, Tony finishes off.
Oh, so just very quickly before I do my final one is for the Zay Burnett fans, Orchard issue 1 that's come out. I managed to order mine online. It's technically not a comic, it's a lot of art by him, short stories, like a very sophisticated zine, I suppose, and it comes with a DVD package, and I got a lovely print of a buffalo. So I know we were big fans of his work when we met him at Thought Bubble, and I know you subsequently went and got his comic, didn't you?
Yeah.
His graphic novel. Just if you want
absolutely stunning artwork.
Yeah, the line work on that, fucking hell, incredible. So, but the main one I'm going to talk about is It Will All Hurt. It actually turns out this is issue 2. It's quite hard to figure out which issue it is. This is issue 1 I've got by Farrell Dalrymple. For those who probably remember him best, for the Amiga the Unknown stuff he did out of Marvel. God, 10 years ago, I'm going to say. Good. It's a good price, $8 or $6.99 in Gosh. I don't know how they work it out, but it's $6.99. It's got a brown paper cover, almost like the quality of paper you get on a brown paper bag, like a thick version of that, you know. And running along the bottom, it's a wraparound cover, is white and pink characters standing in a devastated urban area along the bottom third of the page almost, and it's just really striking. I went shopping in Gosh with Sarah. Friend of the show, Sarah Harris, yesterday, and she said you should get that because it's good. And I thought, right, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to talk about it. It's just an utter impulse buy, but it's a good value. The interiors are like a newsprint paper, which I really loved. I showed you guys before we started, didn't I? Which allows the colours, you know, in the newsprint, the colours show up differently, don't they, on that paper? But it almost allows it to almost soak into the page a little bit, I'm going to say. There's a sort of matte effect to newsprint style comics that are printed, which is, I find, very pleasing to the eye. There's no sort of super glare off the page. I know you've talked about it before, Dan, haven't you, about having to angle a comic on the train. You can actually read it. Yeah. Slightly bigger than a US comic, but slightly smaller than A4 from a size point of view. I'm just super jealous of the format. I just want to copy it. It's really nice. In broad strokes, it's a science fiction comic. It has a kind of purposely diverse group of characters, from all different characters, from one who's a girl surviving in that sort of aforementioned wasteland, the sort of post-apocalyptic wasteland, where there's some kind of strange disease spreading. She turns her body over and there's this sort of green creature on its face, and quite shocking almost. But also there's like a pointy-eared alien spaceman who's up in space, and he's living in a pod that's floating above this planet. There's a young kid who can transmute matter, and he can do it by blowing into the neck of a glass bottle as if it's like a flute and making a noise, and this transmutes matter. There are mutated people, shadowy monsters. There's like these sort of iconically prophetic animals like crows and stuff, and rats sort of in the background, in the foreground, which obviously have some kind of meaning. There's even just a sort of small portion of it that's just about a cat. A lot of it is wordless, actually, but occasionally it has sort of scant handwritten style lettering. So it almost looks like it's handwriting on the page as opposed to your more sort of formal lettering styles. It's stories. It's a mix of all different things, actually. It's stories, images, comics, and they take this sort of leisurely pleasure in their own jumping about in subject matter and narrative and stuff in an almost sort of flippant non sequitur. Really, it's kind of purposely not joined up, which I kind of like. Absolutely gorgeously realised. The colours have that muted watercolour palette to them. I just really enjoy looking at it. Sometimes we rush through comics, don't we? Sometimes we think, I want to get to the end of this. You know, sometimes comics are designed that way. You know, exciting comics are designed that way. So you keep turning the page. But this one, I really sort of felt like I could take my time on it. I haven't got a fucking Scooby-Doo what goes on in it, to be fair. But, I don't really know what's happening, but it's a pleasure to read and pleasure to look at. And it's just gorgeous. It's just a lovely thing to look at. And on the small press shelf, I don't really know what Daryl Farampa's doing these days. I see him occasionally, but I think from now on I will purposely search him out. Very individual in what he does. And it's almost like if you think of it, it's almost like kids' storybook kind of art, but with like something of an edge, something of a twist, which I think looks lovely. The back of it has a lot of pin-ups and some design work and stuff like that. It's published by Study Group Comics, so studygroupcomics.com. On Instagram, you can find Daryl on Farrell, Fareldal, Farrell Dal. I was a bit shocked, actually, because normally on the shelf in Gosh, I expect all the comics to be new, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some competition to get on the shelf in Gosh. They don't take everything, you know? But this is from 2015, so I don't know why it suddenly appeared. I don't know if he's popped in the shop or something and handed some over, or they found some in the back room or something. But if you can get into Gosh, find yourself a comic. Otherwise, I think you can still get it at studygroupcomics.com. But lovely, absolutely gorgeous. It will all hurt.
Well, no matter when you heard this episode, I'm sure some of these comics are new to you.
Yep.
So go forth and seek them out and check them out and just enjoy a week of comic reading. Thank you again to you, Matt, for joining us. It's been a long one. This
I
week,
just looked at the clock. It's zoomed past that.
Yeah. It's a problem when we have, we like you so much, Matt. We force you to listen to us,
babes.
even a long time.
Yeah, thank you.
He's not there. He's gone. He's gone.
He's gone. He's left.
Don't say that. Am I still here?
Yeah, you are still here. No.
That's some kind of anxiety dream now.
No. You're not dreaming. This is just my awkward wrap up where I say we hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and if there's anything you want us to talk about, including events that you may be putting on for Small Press Day, please let us know. So more great events like Coco Comic Con can be shouted out on this show in the lead up to August the 13th. You can email us awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. Follow us on the Twitter @TheAwesomePod, where we'll be shouting about said events, retweeting, getting the word out about comics, etc. And just introducing people to more new work, which is what we want to do on a weekly basis. If you do the Book of Faces, go to facebook.com/awesomecomicspodcast. There's a community group, Awesome Comics Talk, on there. The Awesome Comics Podcast Slack channel is, as always, busy as hell and accepting lovely people to join us. So if you want to get in...
just message one of us.
Just message one of us, and we'll send you the link and everything to get involved there. Thank you for listening to us, whether it was on the website awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen to us on any other sort of networks like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife, what other networks are you on, Tony?
We're on Podvabbing.
God. Oh God! Don't look it up.
Please do.
Yeah, I had to.
I like.
Did you have to, Dan? Did you have to?
Because I conned him into it, didn't I? Because I said something about vabbing, and you went vabbing ? Then you went, "Come on, then. What is it?" And I said, "It's great."
I had to.
I clearly wasn't going to tell you.
I mean, the red flag is there, isn't it? The red flag is there.
Yeah. I couldn't resist. I'm honest.
Yeah.
Is this my curious nature? I can't knowledge.
I sent just the word vabbing to Dave Kennedy, and he said, "I don't dare look it up." And I said, "Dave, fear is the mind killer, my friend."
Yeah. Don't be stupid.
Don't be afraid to go forth and follow us, though. And where can people find us online, etc.? Tony?
Neverhidanything.com.
There you go. For all your comics needs.
Thank you.
Dan, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Vanguard Comic, and you can read Vanguard at vanguardcomic.com.
Nice. You can follow me at Jester Diablo, where I'll be taking pictures of my cats. And if you're on
Junk.
Twitch, yeah, my junk.
You want to hear more about this fucking program you did, Vince?
And Wednesday, 13th of July.
Wednesday,
13th of July, I'm going to try streaming a tabletop
Is
RPG.
that so soon? Oh, fucking hell.
I mean, that's this Wednesday.
That's in a couple of days.
Yep. So twitch.tv
I'm going to have to figure out what Twitch is.
/ Jester Diablo. There'll be a video on demand afterwards as well. But it's going to be a lot of fun and a bit of gaming. And just
So we can watch along, can't you, and comment and stuff?
Yeah. And also it'll go on YouTube later as well.
So can I see you? Will you show your face?
Yeah,
All right.
video.
Mate, I'm there.
Yeah, me too.
So
What time is it?
It is 7:15. No, 7:30 is when we're starting.
That's when you're going live.
Yeah.
When you launch, as it were.
Yeah. So if you like a bit of science, gaming and science fiction and horror, and just loads of cool stuff, and storytelling, because that's what I'm all about, baby.
Yeah.
Raunchiness.
Yeah. So find that there. But Matt, thank you again for joining us
man.
and
Good
telling
one.
us about
Cheers,
the Comic Con, etc., and your work. Where can people find you and more details about your work?
I'm on Twitter at Sheriff Freak.
Still the best name ever.
Yeah.
Cheers. Yeah, Instagram Sheriff_Freak. Bit less good, that one. And you can check out the comics that I'm selling at mattsimmonscomics.bigcartel.com.
Yes.
Good stuff, man.
And
Please do.
Don't forget to check out Coco Comics website for more information about Coco Comic Con.
Yeah, it's a good site there as well, man. Loads of nice, easy links and stuff. Yeah.
So go forth, check out loads of those links. Get Matt's comics because they are brilliant. Trust us. Just wherever you are in the world, we hope you're doing okay, happy, healthy. If you're in the UK for the next week, just take care of yourselves because it's going to be a bit of a nightmare heat-wise. We've all gone a bit mad this evening, but we hope you enjoyed it. And go forth for the rest of the week. Get loads of comics, read loads of comics, make loads of comics. Thank you very much for listening whenever or wherever you did. From Dan, Tony, Matt and myself, have a brilliant week. And what should they do, guys?
Stay awesome.
Stay awesome.
Yes.
Like a
Bye,
barbershop quartet.
Yeah.